Ooh, it's gonna be a good one. Good one today. Ooh. Finally gotta clear out some of these DMs too, jeez. Yeah, Mio, what's up, man? Ooh, Mia, what's up? What's the King's Guard? King's Guard is this. We were updating it yesterday a little bit. We were kind of doing it as we went. But so this is, it's on my Discord. So there's a link to my Discord. Actually, I don't even know if there was one there. But I mean, there's a link to my Discord on any of my videos on my channel. And this channel on the Discord server is public, so anyone can see this. This is basically just kind of the points of contact, all the main reps for each of the kingdoms. So typically a king or queen is here, right, first and foremost. If not, it might be like a Diplo rep or recruiter rep if maybe the king or queen of the R5 doesn't want to. But this is just basically like a nice little point of contact place. So for example, if you're curious about a kingdom, if you want to know, hey, who can I get in touch with over there at that kingdom, right? Whether you're someone who's in Diplo, for KvKs, it's very useful. I mean, I have people that use this for that, and for other reasons. If you're just looking to maybe get recruited, you want to go and speak to someone real quick because maybe they can quickly direct you to who you need to go and speak to. It's a really nice kind of easy and efficient way to kind of get the answers that you need to get. So. Admiral, what's up, man? So what's King Guard recruitment? Yeah, so King's Guard is essentially part of it can be used as such. if you just need to know someone to hit up on Discord, absolutely. For a particular kingdom, that's one way that it can be used. All right, so to get that message out the way. All righty. Should be a good time today. I got some sangria, a little bit of winey wine. It's gonna be nice. Yeah, well, also another reason we're starting a little bit later today than what we usually do is just because we're going to be interviewing Captain, the wAo R5 and King. Going to talk to him a little bit about KvK2, talk about their kind of disband moving on situation as well. Maybe even talk, kind of what played out in the KvK2 near the end with the whole 30 NA situation. So again, should be good. I mean, I'll probably release, the interview separately as a solo, but for anyone that's here, yeah, we're going to talk about it. We'll ask Cap some good questions, and if there's any community questions that we work into as well throughout or near the end, absolutely we'll try and do that too. So it should be good. Yeah, Glizzy, what up, baby? Boss Daddy, I love you. What's up, bro? What's up? Mio says so many disbands lately. I mean, yeah, man. There's been two major ones that I know of. I don't know if I've heard of any others outside of the two big ones, but I mean, regardless, the two big ones are significant enough to warrant probably that comment on there being so many disbands lately. Oh, hang on, that's public chat. Oh yeah, I don't need to do anything there. Mm-hmm. This is, yeah, I mean, plenty of content for you. Can't complain. No, man, absolutely can't. Yeah, man, it's been wild. Yeah, I'm finally gonna I gotta get through a bunch of my DMs too as well. So I'll probably jam a little bit of that out in addition tonight, as we kind of build up to the Cap interview once we get there. Is WO and WB disband? No, so it was WO that's disbanding. I don't know what's going on with WB. I don't know if I've heard anything on NTS or RFF at the moment. And then yeah, it was NXW on the disband. Gen chat more entertaining with less mods. Yeah, mod lives matter too. Oh god, Miguel, what's up, man? Are we gonna talk about the BDR? Oh, dude, yeah, maybe we'll watch this video on Hulkston and we can react to it. Because I do have this queued up. Maybe we'll do that here in a sec to kind of get things started off. Because I don't know what he said in it as well. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. here in a sec. Yeah, because dude, so I don't know if you guys read some of the comments. Some of the comments were pretty funny. So on the video. Ooh. I don't want to do that. Dude, rough life. What is going on? Yeah, I heard Tiny, Miguel says I heard Tiny can't wait for you to do his next Diplo. You know, I haven't talked to Tiny about it because I know some of the migration has really just been kicking off now since summary wrapped up. So yeah, haven't really had a chance to kind of go through everything at the moment. So yeah, we'll we'll see on that one. Because I definitely going to be curious. I just haven't had a chance to like check anything yet. So I probably will in a bit. Just to kind of see. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Okay, I haven't seen. Oh, they're 20 bill already. Oh my god, really? Oh man, yo, maybe we'll take a look. That's pretty nuts. Yeah. Wow. I'll have to take a look at that, man. Yeah, if he is, that's pretty crazy. Sitting on dubs, sitting on dubs. That is pretty nuts. Oh my gosh, I'll have to take a look then. But I haven't talked to him since kind of everything's been going down, except for yesterday where I messaged him, but I kind of already got some of the answers back from Q, so I didn't really need to follow up too much. What's up? You need some help? Yeah, what's up? Yeah. All right, fam, I'm back. Just had to talk to the lady real quick. Yo, BN, don't mute. Don't mute it. We want to hear it too. No, man, I gotta mute some stuff with the lady. I mean, it wasn't like anything serious, but God, dude, you guys are a bunch of sycophants, man. Like, we want to hear everything. Okay, I need to go through. Okay, I want to react to this Hulkston video, and then we're gonna go through some of these DMs. Let me catch up on chat real quick, and then we'll react to the Hulkston video here on the whole BDR meta thing, because I absolutely want to hear what he has to say, because some of the comments were hilarious. Yeah. Zella J, what's up, man? Welcome. Dario players one times. Yeah, we know. Absolutely. Mia, when do we expect Captain, Breaker of Chains, Men of Men, First of His Name, King of the Ontals, King of the Seven Kingdoms, the Unburnt Breaker of Chains? Dude, you forgot Pumpkin Patch. Dude, you forgot the Pumpkin Patch King, bro. It's in the title, man. 2:30 UTC. So in about an hour, he's gonna be coming on. That's when he's free at the earliest. Yami says, "Oh F, I used a breaker chains twice." Yami, YY did try and get a shoot back. Dang, really? That's nuts. Jeff, what's up, baby? Miguel, yeah, these guys. All right, I want to go ahead and listen to this. So let me pause this real quick. Let's listen to this video, and then I'll go through some DMs, because I'm very curious on what Hulkston says here, and I'll link the video in chat too as well as we go through it. Let's just pause the jams real quick, and yeah, we're gonna go through this. So let me put this up. I don't know how loud it's gonna be, so.
And farmers of Tamaris back again with another Call of Dragons video.
Hopefully
in today's episode, we're going to be discussing a brand new scary hot trend in Call of Dragons. It is known as BDR. It simply stands for Betray, Disband, and Rebuild. So many alliances are going to be copying this formula because one alliance has already invented it this season. I believe this new BDR meta is going to be sending shockwaves into Call of Dragons for the next upcoming season. One alliance has already done it. Many alliances are going to be following it. Today, we're going to be discussing everything. Like, share, subscribe, leave some comments down below. Let's get right into it.
Interesting.
All right, Warriors of Tamaris.
Okay, let me just start out by saying, just to react to what he said first. Personally, I do not think that this is going to be some kind of new meta at all. There is no evidence to support that. And keep in mind, I track basically all of, maybe not all of, but a lot of, I'll say, the major KvK stories, developments, drama. Well, we cover disbands, we cover, any betrayals, people know I cover a lot. And I do this every season. So I do not believe this is going to become some meta. Let me explain why. My basic reasoning for this is that if this was the case, we would have seen the whole. If you guys remember when like Chiz was making videos on the whole betrayal meta, and that was starting to kind of become a thing, like whatever it was, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, right? That never really materialized. That never made it to any kind of mainstream focus. So, no, that's for you, sweetie. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. I seized your ice cream. Yeah, go eat that over there, though, please. I don't want you spilling on Daddy's equipment. So thank you so much. It's very, very kind of you to grace us with your presence. So, so the idea here is that the whole betrayal meta thing never really became this thing that was happening in a majority of the kingdoms for. The majority of the KvKs from season over season. Yes, did you see some betrayals happening here and there? Of course, right? Like those things did happen, but it didn't mean that this became something that was so prevalent where people were just constantly betraying for like end of season rewards. They were betraying for maybe getting in a better position in some case, or maybe because they wanted to extend the fighting. You weren't seeing it being done on any kind of consistent level. So again, when he's talking about the BDR thing, obviously he's talking about most likely the wAo situation. And now the wAo situation is a bit unique-ish, if you will. And that's just because of the way it happened. Typically, you do not see, and you could argue this happened to like EIS and Echo 2 as well, to a degree. But when you're thinking about what usually happens when a disband occurs, you're not typically seeing the disband happen, and then the R5 organizing some kind of mass migration because their idea of like rebuilding or cutting dead weight is, okay, well, let's announce the disband and then let's go ahead and collect everyone that's going to move and do that. Typically what you see is the R5 stepping down and either going to do their own thing or quitting, and then the disband occurs, and then it's a matter of like the players or maybe some R4 management staff organizing any kind of a group within the kingdom to try and go somewhere. That's more typical for what we see. So that's why I'm saying, like, in a good example, you look at the situation with Echo, Sod and Tempe didn't take people and migrate them. When Dark quit, he quit at that time. Similar. He didn't take people with him. So the situation, that's why I'm saying historically it has been different. That's why I've said the WA situation is a little bit unique-ish in that regard, especially if you're just talking about looking at some of the recent disbands that have occurred. So again, I don't necessarily agree with this wholeheartedly, but let's see what else he has to say.
A brand new trend has been invented in Call of Dragons, and it's known as BDR meta. This is when you betray your allies, and when you cannot live with the consequences, you decide to disband. You send an alliance notice saying that the alliance is going to be disbanding, and then you go and rebuild somewhere else. You take maybe a few of your leadership membership and you go and absorb yourself into another small alliance in a different generation. And then from there, you can just rebuild and all is forgiven. It is that simple. It is a brand new trend that I believe is going to be copied by many players here in Call of Dragons. I don't know which alliances are going to be adopting this.
Okay, hang on. Let me... I'm gonna be honest, dude. Watching this, I feel like Hulk is going off the rails a bit here, right? And now I'm only a minute and a half in, and this already feels like some kind of targeted propaganda ad campaign or like smear campaign that he's trying to, go against wAo on. So, right, and let's be clear, I am not up to date, right? So let me preface this a bit. I'm not up to date on exactly what happened in KvK2. However, what I will say, based on what I do know, is that I don't think anyone's forgiving wAo for for at least what people think wAo did or maybe what they feel they did. And I'm not up to date on the situation. I haven't heard from all the sides involved yet. I have had some things shared with me. We are going to talk with Cap tonight, so we'll, if he's willing to share and kind of talk through his side, if we maybe get some screens or something we can look at, okay, so be it. Right, then we can kind of start putting some pieces together and then trying to hear from the others that are involved. However, I don't think that part is accurate. I think if the conclusion comes down and it was really like wAo's fault or they were partially or more wholly to blame for it, I don't think that's something that people are going to forget. First and foremost, I mean, keep in mind how many times people just in COD Discord reference other kingdoms that like took Diplo wins or they betrayed and they just never let you forget it. So I don't think that's going to be the case. The other side of this is that, like I said, when I clicked on the video, I thought, okay, hey man, he's going to talk about some kind of meta, and he's going to give a couple examples here to kind of show some kind of consistency or historical trends of these happening and drawing those consistent conclusions to basically kind of have that be the point of the video. Part of me feels like, is this just going to be like a smear video that's just on wAo? Because that's how it feels like it's going right now. Oh yeah, you want me to unlock this here? There you go. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, sorry, sweetie. Be careful. You don't want it to fall on your other foot. All right, here we go.
Formula in the future. It has already been done by one alliance. I'm pretty sure so many other alliances are going to be doing this in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the brand new trend that is going to be hitting Call of Dragons for the next few seasons. As you guys are going to be seeing, so many alliances are going to be betraying their allies and then disbanding.
Well, okay, hang on. Okay, there was a lot that was said there. He said, this is going to be something that we see over the next couple seasons, and there's going to be a lot or multiple people or many occurrences of people basically doing what wAo did. Now, keep in mind, historically, I've already explained on how this has historically not been done in any kind of consistent manner. This is not, again, to say that it hasn't been done prior to wAo, but not in any kind of consistent manner to this regard that we've been seeing. Now, keep in mind, it also is this is more of a prominent KvK, right? So this is one that has more eyes on it. This essentially is going to be your KvK2, and that's going to have a lot more eyes on it than, let's say, a KvK10 or a KvK11. So when it comes to the lower KvKs or just the lower powered KvK groups, I am not going to be as privy to those as we will typically when I'm following more of like the top 10 KvKs on a more regular basis. So there has to be a little bit of, again, also appropriate prefacing on that front as well. But let's continue.
Be the new trend, guys. You guys better be ready for this. So it happened to us pretty much this season. We got betrayed by two of our allies in a despicable way. They used us to win the season. And then when the season was almost done, they decided to turn on us, take all the rewards, rally our cities, destroy our territory, and pretty much talk trash and try to like bring us down. Even after us fighting all season, they just didn't see our contribution in this KvK, decided to take all the rewards and just give us like a crazy bad name, acting as if they won the whole season by themselves. So this is going to be the brand new Betrayal and disband meta here in Call of Dragons. It's going to be disgusting. This betray and disband meta is going to be crazy. And I don't know, man. I hope many alliances don't copy this formula in the future, because it's a low blow here in Call of Dragons. If you really want to disband, it is better to disband on a high note. Don't go out there and betray your allies and then disband. Announce that you are disbanding because of, you know, personal reasons, family stuff like that. When in truth, you just disbanded because probably you don't want to live with the consequences of your actions. Because
I just want to point out here, you can argue that wAo did disband on a high note because they went out on top as far as like at the peak of where their kingdom was at, power-wise, KvK success-wise, in similar fashions to Echo, NEIS, and others as well, even before them. So you could have one argument being, maybe not the only argument, but at least one argument saying that they did go out on top, at least in that regard. I get where he's going with it, but I think you could also say it from the other side as well.
You know, here in Call of Dragons, when you do something bad, people usually talk about it. They don't want to let it go. But now the new trend has been invented. Somebody is going to be copying this trend. Guys, feel free to comment down below which alliances have done this already. Maybe somebody have already done this new BDR trend that I'm talking about today. But for today, we know one alliance that has done it for sure. First, you betray, then you disband, and then you rebuild. You rebuild by going into a different alliance. You just take...
Okay. Oh God. Okay. There's so much to unpack here. It's just my ovaries are just on fire right now. Okay. Let me point out what I think is just the absolute fatal flaw and the Achilles heel in this argument. Is that the reason why this is not a good meta trend is because why would you want to disband after you betrayed in this example and won the season? How does that make any sense? Wouldn't you rather betray, win the season, and then continue your version of success and continue winning, right? Wouldn't you just want to rinse, wash, and repeat? You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole thing. So the idea being is that if you really want to do it right, really what you should do is betray, win the season, rinse and repeat. So that's why, right? Which again, that would be the ultimate meta, the ultimate betrayal meta, really, right? So again, that's why I think, to me, that's like the fatal flaw in this argument, is that the meta he's talking about actually hurts you more than it really does anything. Because it's like, what? You're self-inflicting your own punishment in a sense, where you betray, but then you automatically have to disband and then migrate. Like, you're just going to lose people unnecessarily, right, during the process. So it doesn't really help you out as much as you think. Again, that's my take on that. Let's continue here. Discordia says, your ovary, something BN trying to tell us? I mean, listen, man, you heard me.
Maybe a few of your leadership team there You establish yourself there maybe in 1 or 2 seasons in a different generation. You play there, you have fun, and hope for people to forget. And over those seasons, you're going to be recruiting some of your older players one by one. You bring them into the alliance, and maybe in 3 or 4 seasons, you are back to full strength. And before you know it, boom, you are in KvK 1 with a powerful alliance, lots of players, and boom, you're back to the top. It is the new trend in Call of Dragons known as BDR. Betray, disband, and rebuild. I hope this is not what Call of Dragons is going to be moving forward, because one alliance has done it. What is to stop other alliances from doing it?
Okay. Okay, I have to pause again. Oh, I'm going to be honest, dude. Okay. I got to whistle real quick. Sorry, I got to mentally prep myself. Okay. Where to start? Where to start? So, him saying that people are going to disband, go rebuild, and then work their way back up to KvK 1. I mean, dude, that is so far of a stretch to say that that's what people are doing. And let me give you the prime example on this, right? Just for 2 out of 3 of these. Just look at TFS. TFS is a prime example, right? Again, with the betray part aside, if you look at TFS, they're a prime example of how many rebuilds have they done, or not only rebuilds, but just ups and downs. Like, you think it's so easy to work your way back into KvK 1, let alone hell, even KvK 2 or KvK 3. Like, that to me, oh God, I mean, it's just a bit ridiculous. It is, to think that you're going to be able to do that. Now, that isn't to say that maybe someone couldn't do it. But I think you can look at a situation like TFS as a prime example of their ups and downs. They've done 2 rebuilds, I guess now a 3rd, technically. And then, well, I guess you could maybe say 2 specific. Well, no, I'd say 3, because they did kind of that one in 40 where once Sod left, they kind of rebuilt. And then that was before they ended up going to, or sorry, 23, and then they went to 40, excuse me, right? Yeah, so I'd say 3. But again, I would use them as a great example, because it is not that easy to work your way all the way back up the KvK group rankings. So when he's making it sound as though you're going to be able to betray, disband, go to a kingdom and rebuild, and then you're going to be able to get yourself back up to a KvK 1. I mean, I'll even give him a little bit of cushion here and say KvK 2 or 3 in a couple seasons. It's not as easy as you think it will be. Now, yeah, you could just mass recruit and, inflate yourself and get people. But to be fair, a lot of successful kingdoms are not going to just do some kind of mass recruiting like that. And I'll give you a good example, right? Is because TFS did this. And if you go back in history and you look at what happened when Sod's group left, and then TFS and Jason, they brought in the Ancient team, and it just didn't end up working out as well as they had hoped. And then they ended up leaving 23 and going to 40. Now, again, that's one isolated incident. You can make the argument for that as well. However, I just don't think it's that easy, because I think there's a lot that you have to work on when it comes to bringing in a lot of people. There's just a lot of logistical challenges. There's a lot of like loyalty, maybe not loyalty challenges, but like assimilating challenges, kind of cultural differences that you can have when you have a large group that's coming in. I mean, I could really dive deep on kind of the recruitment style, but I just don't necessarily think that part is accurate. I get what he's saying. And yes, can it actually happen? Yes, it could happen. But I just don't think like that's the successful winning formula, in my opinion. Let's continue.
Let us talk a little bit about this season, what really happened, how we got betrayed, and how these people decided to do this BDR new meta trend. So it was a 3v3 in this season. With our allies, we managed to push all the enemies out of the final zone. When the final zone opened, we built a lot of territory all the way up to here. Now, our territory was also blocking one of the enemies from making ground. Unfortunately, we could not use bastions to help out, because the bastion was going to hit our ally and hit the enemy at the same time, making things difficult for us. So our territory was pretty much here, just chilling, blocking the enemy from progressing and getting ground on this side of the map. When it comes to the bottom over here, we were able to push one of our enemies all the way back to zone 1. When we ended up, winning the season, our two allies decided to give us the dragon. First of all, the first diplomacy was a little bit different. Our alliance was supposed to get 6 gear sentry for the 1 extra amber for the end of the season rewards. But when we defeated the enemy and pushed most of them outside, the ally decided to give us the dragon. Okay, they gave us the dragon, so we were like, sweet, this is nice. And after they gave us the dragon, they also asked us to delete the territory because we had swapped the end of season rewards. When they gave us the dragon, they decided to take our rewards. So we swapped rewards. They let us delete territory. They built slowly and came into our zone in order to take this gear sentry. They were supposed to take 6 gear sentry and we take the dragon. And then on the last day, they decided to turn on us. They waited for our downtime and decided to destroy our territory, decided to rally our cities and just kick us out of this final zone by taking all the rewards and claiming that we did not help them in the final zone. First of all, we were fighting all season. We didn't really have a lot of resources for healing in the final zone. Not resources. We didn't have a lot of elixir that have been saved up because we have been fighting all season. So we need to fight this enemy and also provide help on this side, which we did, by the way. We were sending some help on this side, but this enemy is like, that wasn't enough. So they decided to turn on us and take all of the rewards, rallying our cities, which was absolutely despicable. They should have just taken the dragon and left us alone. It's not like we were going to be fighting them because our power does not match them. They could have just annihilated us completely. So they should have just taken the dragon.
I'm sorry. I don't know how accurate or inaccurate this is, like I said, because I haven't updated myself on anything. I just thought that part was funny. He's like, they should have just left us, gave us the dragon and left us alone. That was good though. That was funny. I hope he shows some screenshots here.
And be done with it. But that wasn't enough for them. They took the dragon and decided to rally our cities. Now, one of these allies decided not to disband. They have no shame, so they're going to be living with the consequence of their action. The other one decided to, do the BDR, which is betray, disband, and rebuild. They betray, they make an announcement that they are disbanding on a high note. They take a few of their leadership team and go to a different alliance in a different generation, rebuild there for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, and as they are rebuilding over there, they are going to be recruiting some of their most powerful players and bringing them into the alliance, and before you know it, in 3-4 seasons, they are back to the top in KvK number 1 and all is forgiven. So this is going to be a brand new trend that's going to be copied by multiple alliances.
Did he say they're going to do that?
In 3-4 seasons, they are there for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, and as they are rebuilding, they are disbanding on a high note.
Here it is.
They take a few of their leadership team and go to a different alliance in a different generation. Rebuild there for maybe 1 or 2.
Okay, so first off, technically that's not accurate because, again, the so two of those pieces are not accurate based on how he said that, right? Firstly, is that wAo had already announced that they're taking a decent amount, not only a few, a decent amount of people to 509. And I mean, you could even argue it's probably more of a merge really than it is a rebuild, because typically when you're rebuilding, you're going into a kingdom as the sole ownership, right? So you're kind of going into a dead kingdom or one that doesn't really have any control, and you're taking your core group or a core group and you're moving in there as the new leads. That is really more of what a rebuild is. What wAo is doing is not really a rebuild. It is, I would argue, it's more of a merge or just a joining. So, or just you could even argue and say a bigger migration, right? And they're also taking a bit of people. It's not just a few, it's more than a few. And wAo even said like, hey, we're going to try and get more people into 509 as well, season over season. So yeah, so just again, I wanted to make those 2 corrections because this has already been publicly stated.
2 seasons, and as they are rebuilding over there, they are going to be recruiting some of their most powerful players and bringing them into the alliance. And before you know it, in 3-4 seasons, they are back to the top in KvK number 1 and all is forgiven. So this is going to be a brand new trend that's...
Okay, hang on. So let me correct the 3rd point now. Him saying that they're going to be back in KvK 1. What I don't understand is that he knows they're in KvK 2. Now, I understand maybe the way that he led his statement was talking about wAo there, 30, 40 seconds ago, where he led in saying these things were them. Now it seems like in his head, he's like passively or indirectly transitioning this and trying to have it be like a universal approach. But he's still continuing his initial thought, which was him commenting on what wAo is doing now. So based on that, that's how I'm reacting, which is that, yeah, like that isn't true. You're in KvK2. They're in KvK2. They're not in KvK1. So they wouldn't work their way back up to KvK1. They would technically work their way back up to KvK2.
Going to be copied by multiple alliances here in Call of Dragons. You can now get away with betraying your allies. You just betray them, you disband, and then you go and rebuild somewhere else. This is the brand new trend. The best way to disband in Call of Dragons is to do it on a high note. I'm going to give you guys 3 examples of alliances who have disbanded on a high note. We're going to start off with the first alliance that disbanded, which was Echo. Echo, about 3 or 4 seasons, decided to disband because of personal reasons. It was a lot of stuff. So they disbanded on a high note. They disbanded as one of the strongest alliances in the game. No betrayal, no trying to rebuild somewhere else. That was a perfect disbanding. The next alliance to disband was EIS. EIS was also at the top. They were doing some good stuff, and they had beaten pretty much all the strong alliances in the game in one of the KvKs. Pretty much in their last KvK, they beat the best of the best, and then they decided to disband. That was a good disbanding. And then another alliance that disbanded this season was NXW. NXW is considered to be one of the strongest alliances in Call of Dragons, but due to personal reasons and stuff like that, they decided to disband. They didn't do it with the BDR meta. Unlike one of these alliances that decided to betray their ally and then disband and go and rebuild somewhere else. This is absolutely despicable. I hope other alliances don't copy this formula in the future, but hey, it is already there. When somebody does one thing, many others are going to be copying it. So we have now created a brand new trend in Call of Dragons where you betray your allies, and if you can't live with the consequences, you just disband. One of the traitors who betrayed us this season decided.
So what I will give Hulkston some kudos here, because his generalized, somewhat of a summary of the NXW, the Echo, and the AS situation is more or less accurate in at least him kind of referencing what he refers to as kind of a proper disbandment. So that, from what he stated, based on how those kingdoms disbanded and kind of what happened, yes. The only little note I'll make is that on the EIS situation, yes, they didn't necessarily rebuild. And even in the Echo situation, they didn't, but they did have a large portion of their players migrate to top kingdoms. So that did happen. And again, we covered that as well when we tracked and did kind of our big migration update video where we kind of showed where everyone moved to. So just kind of a little bit of a side note.
Decided not to disband. They are not afraid to live with the consequences. The other one is like, nah, let us just send the announcement, disband, maybe go and rebuild in a smaller kingdom. 2 or 3 seasons, all is forgiven. We recruit again, we come back to the top, and everything is good. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the brand new BDR meta in Call of Dragons. Feel free to comment down below which alliances are going to be adopting this formula in the future. I'm pretty sure somebody is going to be doing it. It has already been done, which means Shockwave is going to be sent into Call of Dragons. Many people are going to be copying this formula. So thank you guys for watching. If you're new, subscribe for more content. I hope people don't really copy this disgusting behavior in the future, you know, where you betray, you disband, and you go and rebuild somewhere else. I hope this is probably the end of it, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Many people are going to be copying this formula, and it's going to be red hot. It is the perfect way to get away with all the crazy stuff that you do to your allies in the game.
It's just the way he said red hot.
If you're new, subscribe for more content. Until then, we shall meet again in the next video. Bye-bye for now.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to link this in chat. I'll also have it in our separate video, man. That was an interesting one. Okay. I want to read some comments real quick on this, but obviously We'll link it in chat and we'll reference it. Yeah, I mean, listen, my summary on this video before we read some chat comments, because I think some of the chat comments are pretty interesting. Like I said in the beginning, I think I get where Hulkston's coming, like the position he tried to make on this. Respectfully, I just think he fell very, very short. I don't think this is going to be any kind of meta that people are going to pick up for the reasons I had referenced earlier. There's just no signs that that is the case. I think it would just do a lot more damage to the kingdoms and to the leadership and any of the players that kind of took part in that, especially if they kind of did those things, whether it's back to back or they did it once and then just kind of moved on. It doesn't really help the overall health and sustainability of the game too as well when you're just kind of generally talking about player satisfaction. It's a lot more difficult to maintain that, especially if people really truly adopt this. You'll end up having a lot more player drop off, more people will quit. It'll just lead to a lot more toxicity, and that's just probably a few of the reasons why this is not any kind of a mainstay. So, yeah. I gotta catch up on some chat real quick too as well before we read some comments. Geez. Tom Control, what's up, man? This is consequences, not betrayal. Yeah. Morgan, what's up? 100%. Mark, what's up, man? 2Tran, make sure to take care of my sweet innocent angel, Dustin. I will, Merc. Cody, what's up, man? I get Hulk. He's mad. He got betrayed. Discordia says we couldn't play Sebastian, so nothing we could do sounds accurate. Let me see what else we got here. Valley, what's up? No one had a lot of elixir left. We all fought in zone 2 and zone 3. That's why we all had to RSS heal in final zone. Rage Baiter, what's up, man? The crazy BDR accusations are wild. Yeah. Huang Dong, what's up, man? Welcome. Discord, is he really? He is really pushing this BDR. I feel like he's making a sales pitch. Yeah, Morgan's like, yeah, we would do the same gen. Yeah. Rage Baiter, Hulky is convinced BDR is real. Tom Control, we're not rebuilding. We're moving to remove the hassle of R4 for necessity. Yeah. Tom Control, we will be number one R1s, number one R1, which is all R1s. That's great. You had what's up, man? Hulky thinks he and his alliance are number one. Just relax and collect into season awards. Fluffy, what's up, man? Scummy leaders, DDD. I see Jeff. I also have zero intentions of KvK1. Never has. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and we talked about that yesterday too as well. Valley says Hawkson keeping the memory of BDR alive single-handedly. Me sitting here trying to remember now who played in BDR and heard Hawkstein. Jeez, wait, what? Fluffy, I think Rents do. That's why he made a 2-hour-long video repeating of. I mean, to be fair, yeah. I mean, he. Well, the interesting part is that he summarized everything in like the first third of the video, but then he kind of like re-talked about it, but just maybe went a little bit, tiny bit deeper. But it really wasn't, I think, anything extra enough, in my opinion. Discordia, I think, LMAO, I think we need to crowdfund him a tinfoil hat. You guys, man. Guy's making his own conspiracies. 30 NA is the real BDR. Bash and delusional rally. Jeez, man. My gosh. Turtle, what's up, man? People may or may not remember this betrayal, but one thing everyone will remember is how bad 30 NA is. Dude, you guys are so mean. Oh, God, Hoaxy needs to go outside every now and then, I think. Fluffy, it's as though 30 NA had a good rep in KvK, LMAO. Vital, what's up, man? What am I listening to? Talk to Hoxton. Should actually give WO some credit, though. His YouTube never seen so many viewers. Dude, rough life. You guys, man, with the shots fired. Crazy new method dropped. Fluffy. Vital, it sounds like Blaze telling you his war plan. Tom says, BN, just wait to see the full story of an R4 perspective from Cap. No disrespect, but Hulkson is an R1 in the lines that Sally suffered from really bad R4 decisions this season. Vital sounds like brain damage. I'm done. Consequence, unfortunately, just couldn't just affect their R4s and had to affect their full alliance. NGO, what's up, man? Diddlestar YouTube. Fluffy says, I mean him saying they could have just taken the Dragon Levels alone. Shows how much 30 NA. R4 is not transparent. That's cute. All right. Okay, I want to read some of these comments real quick. So we got, are people in the comments thinking that this doesn't happen? It definitely happens. There are a lot of times I've seen betrayals in 2 seasons on my main account, which is only in SOS 1. Lol. Let's see what some people said to this. Yeah, it happened to me in G3 2 seasons ago. Reason for them was they thought we want to betray them first. Funny is, Dev thought it's a great idea to put us in same starting zone as the betrayers. We refused to ally with them, even though we got clapped since they're stronger. But it feels really great to get revenge. You're from 164. Interesting. Oh, even Cap responded. Watch out, rebrand coming. We are too. That's good, Cap. Oh my gosh. Let me get some hang on, let me get some of the jams going again. All right, that's good. That's funny. What did they say? Here he come, the R5 who lost when we wanted to milk and betrayed and disbanded. You guys sat there for days and watched us go back and forth almost nonstop against wAo. The whole time you guys did absolutely nothing but farmed and watched while you asked yourselves why they were struggling instead of helping them. OGs, you wanted to say we are traitors. Hilarious. See, Nabot says 30 NA is made of players taken from other alliances. Not a surprise if they helped betray other alliances or get betrayed themselves. If you don't work but still expects to have food, you'll end up eating only bad things. I feel like maybe we're trying to go a little bit more with that one. What do we got here? Not the first time wAo has betrayed an agreement. In their KvK versus BTX RFF MFD, they allowed MFD to join their side and try and backstab BTX RFF. The initial KvK agreement was 3v3, but the first opportunity tipped the scale in their favor. They took it, not surprised. They would betray their allies. It's in their nature. Hi. Got a lot of hair. What's wrong? Okay, but no going on my phone. Do you want to sit? No. Come on. Do you want to sit or no? Okay. All right, let me see. So I get taking, what do we got here? I get taking the dragon back if you feel like 30 NA didn't deserve it, but rallying their cities is just disgusting. Again, I don't know. I will say, I mean, rallying cities is kind of another level to things, but like I said, I don't know everything that went down there in that KvK. After they all helped contribute to you winning the season, even if it wasn't as much as you wanted or expected, they merging with the group that also betrayed, so people alike, they united seems. What's going on? Traitors and backstabbers of Tamaris. Dude, that's not a bad one. Just because it kind of plays into his slogan. Oh, wow, this is a big one. wAo and RFF have fought in more than 16 KvKs in seasons in CoD. In a few seasons, the end of season rewards have been yielded to weaker and lower KPI allies because their way of fighting deserve respect. They have always earned respect from the allies in every KvK up until now because they always fought with all their might, regardless of victory or defeat. So why is it that only in this KvK season and only 30 NA is being disrespected by both wAo and RFF and even by the three opposing kingdoms, who are also gloating over them not receiving a season? It's because of the way they fought, the way they coordinated with their allies, their ridiculously greedy behavior, which led to the outcome they're facing now. I'm not criticizing the entire 30 NA. I'm only criticizing the leadership. Oh, this is interesting because someone else just said something about leadership in the live chat as well. So, because they are the ones who made the decisions, handled the diplomacy, and coordinated with the other parties. Two, that's the whole thing. To those of you reading this comment, please think very carefully when your kingdom has the opportunity to ally with 30 NA. This reminder is not due to any personal hatred towards the kingdom, but rather from real experience I gained throughout the previous KvK season. My teammates kept asking the same question repeatedly during the fighting in the final zone. Where is 30 NA? I hope that you won't have to ask that same question in the future. Final words to leaders of 30 NA and Hoxton. You fully deserve this outcome because you were too greedy, too lazy, and farmed more than all 5 kingdoms combined in the final zone. Stop crying like children. Instead, take a good look at yourself and reflect on why you ended. Oh, geez. Damn, bro. Oh, my God. Lord almighty. What was the response here? Oh, okay, so it's just someone else who just kind of chimed in. Here's my honest take based on what I witnessed and as a player from NWO. I think the reason wAo gave the dragon to RFF was because RFF helped wAo in final zone pushing milk, and that they deserved it more because 30 NA was busy all the time in the choke fighting mostly T4, and NWO was an easy target. However, agreement is agreement. wAo could have just let 30 NA know they prefer RFF to have the dragon, and attacking allies is also unacceptable. I mean, listen, part of me feels like once I get a chance to maybe see some screenshots and any kind of, Diplo conversation or, Discord DMs hopefully it'll probably clear up some things a little bit more there. Salty WO talking too much. Those who have betrayed their allies can betray again. W and RFF can take a lot of rewards and give little rewards 30 and A. Betrayal's not justified. It's very despicable. Jeez, I'll translate to English. I used to like this guy, but he talks too much about how RFF and WAO treated 30 NA. If you consider that a betrayal of allies, then reconsider, why did they treat 30 NA like that? Even enemies like Milk, RAC, and NWO didn't show 30 NA any respect. So you should look at what the leaders did to deserve this. I will, oh geez. Gosh. Damn. Okay. I mean, listen, comments are comments, man. It's sad, bro. I wish you could get free rewards. Bro, betrays happen all the time, but you are so butthurt. You're tripping now. This video is, oh, it's Leeson, bro. It's Lee Leeson. This video is pure cheese and cringe. W and RFF are very hypocritical, betraying their own alliance mates. If they felt that 30NA didn't contribute much, they could have given them a lower reward without betraying 30NA. I'm very sure that, I mean, yeah, I guess that's true, right? Depending on how it played out. I'm very sure that without 30NA, W and RFF wouldn't have won the KvK either. What disgusting players. Wow. Someone said Nerf Hulkston Among Us. Oh man. That's it, man. That's pretty nutty. Yeah, man. We'll clip that. But yeah, go ahead and check that one out. Listen, just because I watched it, even though I don't necessarily agree with it, I'll still give him a thumbs up, just because, again, if we're gonna watch something and cover it, we want to at least support. Yeah. Well, oh, hang on, let me. So what I want to do, actually, maybe what we'll do before we get Cap, because Cap's going to be joining us here in about 21 minutes. So maybe what we'll do before that is maybe we'll reach out to some of the other people in KvK2 to ask them what their thoughts were on kind of how things played out near the end. BN's still slacking on those DMs. Dude, I'm gonna get to the DMs, I promise. I gotta reply to this person though. Yeah. Yeah, jeez. Sorry, Fluffy, you said, BN, are you going to get Wayne? Are you going to talk to Wayne about? So, the short answer is yes. So I did actually hear back from Wayne from 30NA. and we talked about some scheduling there, and so I'm planning to talk to Wayne, I think on Friday. What's today? Wednesday? Yeah. So on the 19th. So on Friday, I'm planning to talk to Wayne. It's probably going to be offline though. So where him and I just kind of sit down and talk, and I kind of send him some questions ahead of time that I have. But will there be an interview with Wayne that I'll put out? At the moment, that's the plan, is to put one out, but it's going to be offline. So, and that's mainly, I think, just because of the fact that English isn't his first language. So it gives kind of us an opportunity to talk in a little bit more of an informal, or I should say, yeah, I guess just generally informal and just kind of less pressured of a situation. So that's the plan right now. So I am going to also hear from Wayne, and we'll talk, and I'll probably release that separately. I'm still going to release kind of the cat video separately as well as the interview, whenever we wrap up, depending on how long this lasts, if it's, 30, 45, 60 minutes or so, just depending on how long we go. But yeah, so I'm going to do that as well. But I think what I'll do here in a sec. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. No, absolutely, Fluffy. That's the plan. Speak with milk players to see their opinion. Yeah. So no, Tom. So that's what I'm going to do too as well. I need to update this at the moment. So what I need to do is let me go through real quick, and I'm going to start updating my stuff. So MFD is gray balls, right? No, hang on. It was my bad. I got to go to KvK1 here. It is. So what's balls this thing? Pretty sure I have him here. Hang on, give me a sec. All right, cool. Cap just gave us an update. Looks like he's running about 15 behind. So we're looking at about 245 at the moment. He just shot me an update. So that gives me time, because we can go ahead and fill out a little bit of our King's Guard. And that's going to actually help me out a lot too as well when it comes to following up on the other KvK. So we'll probably do that maybe once we get to KvK 2, because I do want to reach out to the other people involved. So I got to get gray balls of stuff though here real quick. So let me do that. Yeah. THG, what's up, man? We had 3 max deco players in Final Zone, but 1 didn't have max pets, I think. Those unread dots bother me. I got you, man. I'm gonna get to it. I promise. Okay, hang on. I gotta add gray balls real quick to this. I think he's 77, right? Yeah, I had Abda here, but he's not there anymore. So cool. So we're good there on 77. Who's next? Let me move this over here. WBA. That's a Lega. 249. Do I have, am I good at him? I don't. Let me add the Lego real quick. Cool. And also, if you guys are curious, this is public too as well. So anyone who wants to like access this and you want to see like who your contact people are, you guys can do that. And I'm going to do a video on this too as well once I finish. Yeah, once I get everything updated. Lego 6/17/26. Turtle, what's up, baby? Okay, who do I got next? NXW, that's Pepe, right? Yeah. Wait. Wait, so, oh no, I can't do anything for our next W because they disbanded. So, okay, I gotta move to Hunt. Hunt. Who's, oh my God, who's the Hunt R5? That's 572, right? Hang on, let me load up 572 real quick. 572. Oh, is it Mr. T? Oh, that sounds so familiar. I think you might be right on that. Velvet trophy. Bacalás. I need some water, man. Ooh. That was good. Let's see. But we do always. These two lanes, they ain't my temple. All right, let's see real quick. Is it Mr. T? Oh, I think you're right. It is Mr. T. Okay, chat, start donating. What? All right, let me grab Mr. T. Oh, what's his Discord though? Oh man. Oh, I know I've messaged him before. Oh crap. Give me a sec. Mr. T. Has anybody pinged this guy? Discordia, Turtle, you miss hosting crazy vid. BN's been suggesting us to you guys, man. No, we were just reacting to it. Yeah. Oh God, I don't know if am I in the Hunt Discord? Maybe I can find him that way if I'm in the Hunt Discord. I need to go through my Discords too as well to see like which ones I'm in. I thought I might have been in the Hunt Discord, but I don't know if I am. Voting. I don't think I am. Yeah, okay. So I need to find someone else because I don't know. Yeah, Yami tagging for me. Dude, Yami's got me. Yami's always got me right now. Yeah. Turtle starting it off at $2 to IC5. Oh, Turtle, you're too kind, man. You're too kind. I'm gonna give you some confetti in the chat because I appreciate you so much. Welcome to Cutler Drama. Joe, what's up, man? Hello, I am new to this game. How's it going? Joe, what's up, man? Welcome. Please fill me in whenever you're free. Oh my God. Okay, I gotta wait for Yami to ping for me. And then I can add. And then I gotta go through these DMs too. See, 20% chance. Oh, not bad. Okay, here we go. I'm pretty sure I have his. Yeah, I do have him added. Okay, cool. Let me copy user ID. Solid. Okay. So we're gonna add Mr. T. He's 572, right? Do I have him? I don't. Yes. Yeah, I knew I didn't have that one for him. So let's do that. 572. Mr. T. Oops, hang on. When did I add? 6, 17, 26. Cool. All right, Mr. T is Gucci. Next. Oh, NTS is Mark. Oh, do I have them? 49, let's see. I do. I got Mark added. I'm going to give him a timestamp, though, just so I know for Mark. Even though I didn't add him here, I just want to know where I'm at. So, Mark's good. YSS is Tomato, right? I'm pretty sure I've messaged Tomato. Tomato. Okay, I got him. So we got Tomato. I'm pretty sure I added him, right? Oh, let me add him. Okay, we just added Tomato. Oh, request failed. Oh, does he have to add me? I don't know if I'm brave enough to type a message to see if he blocked me or not. Oh, they got 2 reps. Well, no, I can add her too. Oh no, I have tomato right here. Yeah, what's Mia's? Do I have Mia? Where's Mia? It's JoJo, right? Oh, it is. Okay, I got Mia. Okay, yeah, let me do that. Okay. So I'll add both of them then. Thank you for that, Yami. So that's 357. Oops, hang on. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to do a timestamp. All right, cool. So we got Tomato and Mia. Cool, awesome. So that works out really good for me. Next is Jay Geezy. Let me get Jason. Hang on, do I have? Oh no, because they moved to 225, right? Yeah. Oh, she's messaged. All right, let me do that. Copy. Okay. So 225. I guess that means I can remove. Wait, NXW's 370. Do I have 375 here? Oh, I do. Okay, so I can remove them. And I can remove 40 or 23. So do I have 225? Oh, I do. Okay, and then we'll do 16, 26. Awesome. Yeah, dude, we're going to update the whole thing. Sick life. Okay, now I can do 30. So that's Wayne. Do I have Wayne for 30? I do. Cool. I still got Wayne. I'm going to do this. This is great. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So Wayne's set. wAo. Oh no, I don't, well, if I have 92 on here, I can remove them. Do I? I don't. So I don't have to worry about that. RFF 283. Who's leading RFF? Who's RFF lead? That's 283. Let me see. I wish I just had like a little quick thing here. Oh, is it 2tran as RFF? Oh, hang on. I think I got 2tran. Hang on. I think I do, right? 2tran. Let me see here. I do. Yeah, that's a Tula. I got Tran. We're good. Oh, I gotta add you. I just added him. I thought I was already friends with 2tran. Okay. And what did I say that was? 283. Oh, I have him right here with Tula. I already have him. Cool. I just gotta put a timestamp next to it. So that's accurate. All right, cool. Turtle says BS is blocking out all our BS. Dark, what's up, man? Hi, I'm free to play playing Rock. I can play COD for free to play? Absolutely. I don't know if you're going to be able to play COD for free to play. That's really up to you on if you want to spend for that or if you just want to go out and get it like a normal person. But that's cool. You know, up to you. You know, we don't judge. Turtle. Okay, well, I download now. Yeah, man. My God. LMAOP at AO. That was sus. Man, who's the... Connor, what's up, man? Who's the king for two? I'll do 266 next. And like I said, this is all on my Discord. So if you guys want to access this, just join the Discord for that. I don't know where my Discord link is, but just go to any of my videos or even my info on the channel. You'll be able to go on here. And you can access. This is all public. Admiral, what's up, man? Lol. Yeah, man. Joel, why 30 Fluff Dark? This is a long-term game. That's right, man. Like a long-term relationship. That's distanced. All right, so we're good there. Sorry, we're good on 283 for RFF. Yeah, we got 2 Tran there. I got to do milk. That's Kirito, though. Do I have Kirito around 60? I don't have 60. Okay, I got to add Kirito then. Oh, no. It was Kirito and... Whoa, why did that just disappear on me? There we go. It's Kirito and... Who's the other person? God, who's the other CoR5 that messaged me, too? I know there's a second one. God, I'm forgetting. I'm gonna look here in a sec. I'm forgetting his name right now. I feel so bad. Let's go 60. Oh, Midget. Thank you. Yeah. Midget. Thank you. Yeah, Midge. Okay, I got him. Nice, thank you. I'm gonna add 2 here. We'll do and midget. Cool. All right. 60's good. Miguel, what's up, man? Are we late? No. You guys are right on time. So, you know, tell your wife, tell your kids, your cousins, sisters twice removed. Tell them to get in here. Cap gave me an update. It's gonna be about 15 more. So we're looking at 245 UTC right now. So good timing. Hey, babe. Can you come here for a sec, please? But I'll have a video ready on my Sony TV ready. Dude, you're watching this on your Sony 5-inch TV? My man. God, there's so much drama to catch up on. I'm still catching up on the drama I'm in, yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, let me see. Oh, how about RAC? Who's RAC lead? 266. I gotta load that up now. Creo, what's up? Welcome. Welcome. I just want to ask you again about the kid situation. Were you cause I just want to make sure, like, were you leaning a little bit on it being okay? No. She's 5 years old, so I asked. Okay. I'm not the one here. I'm not the one that's gonna be here. Yeah, but I want to hear your input. I mean, I don't think if so. It was just you here, would you do it? If I was watching the kid, yeah, and not sitting here looking at the computer and working, yeah. Okay. Why? No, I was just thinking about it. That's all. You can barely watch Issa sometimes. Okay, you're not gonna say it like that, but okay, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean that's true. I mean,
You can't even watch your own child.
especially if I'm
Your own child.
well, if I'm busy, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can barely watch
No, you're
your
right.
own child.
I see what you're doing. You're overly making the point. Yeah, I get it. Okay. No, that helps. Thank you. That puts my
Girl, you can't just give her paper and color all day.
just put Coco Melon up for the whole day. Okay. All right. No, you're touche.
It's not like you're gonna sit there and
Kid. Yeah.
You're gonna make her breakfast too.
You're right. All right, girl, keep it pushing. You made your point. Yo, BN forgot to mute this time. Oh, I did? Oh, bro, I thought. That's okay. It wasn't anything like super serious.
You wouldn't be watching her, it'd be Evelyn.
Okay.
7-year-old watching
Okay, leave before they call CPS.
Irresponsible thinking from you.
Oh my god. It was my heart. I was trying to put my heart in a good place. Yeah, okay. Okay, we're good. We are good. Ooh. NGO Coco Melon, let's go. Yeah. Admiral, what's up? Yeah, man, we got about 10 minutes. I'm just waiting. Well, I should say estimated 10 minutes. We're just waiting for. No, I'm just waiting for Cap to hit me up. So whenever he gets him a new toe and hollers at your boy. So Miguel, hey BN, you saw how big Tiny's kingdom is now? No, I haven't. Actually, have not looked yet. Who's RFF? Oh wait, no, REC 266. I gotta get 266 king here. 266. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yo, wait, hang on. Wait, is that Tran? Wait, is that Tran who I just called NGL? Should I just say to Tran? My bad, man. Timmy, Tommy, Crumpet. Oh, they got some people from X too? Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'll take a look at the migration stuff. I know Flaming has been tracking it ever since the Call of Stats site came back on. So I know we'll probably be able to kind of take a look at that as well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just got to find out whoever the 266 RAC is, lead is. That's funny, Abda. Yeah, who's the RAC lead? It's Pig. Do I know Pig? Huh. I don't know. I don't know if I know Pig. Oh, is it True Pig? I don't know. No, it's not. That's someone else. Oh, it's Small Potato? I don't have Small Potato. Huh. Let me see if I can search them. Let's see here. Small Potato. Let's see. Small Potato. Oh, there it is. I got him. Cool. Have I added him? Oh, no, I haven't. Have I messaged him? I have messaged Potato. Oh, cool. Okay. Awesome. I got his user ID, so we're good there. Let me add this. Finally, I beat you to it, Yami. 266. Let's see here. I had Kaido there. And, oh, wow. Gosh, Burt Kaido, man. That was a while ago. Okay. We're good there on that one. Who do we need next? NWO. That's going to be Slef. That's easy. 698. That's Slef. Yeah. Cool. Look at that, man. We're doing pretty good here on updating all our kings. Now, these are all going to be above 10 bill power kingdoms as well. So, oh crap. Who's OMG now? Oh my God. Hang on. Who's leading Kingdom 5? Crap. I'm pretty sure I've messaged. It's not Nunu, is it? I don't know who the new perp is over there. Also, if you guys are just joining us, we're just waiting until Cap's good to go. I think he's just putting the kiddos down. So I think he told me about maybe 6 or so minutes. So I'm just waiting here. Oh, hang on. He just messaged me. He might be good to go. Yeah, who's lead over at OMG? Oh, here we go. Co-R5s are on my phone. Oh, it's next week. I'm tripping. Okay, so I got Rabbit, Yuki, Red, and Deathmoth. Those are the people there. Hang on, let me see what Cap said, though. Okay. All right, Cap said he's ready whenever. I'm going to call him here in a sec. Let me just see if I can find someone. Oh, I have someone named Deathmoth did hit me up. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I got Death Moth. Let me just add Moth real quick on here for the OMG one, and then we'll go ahead and get Cap in. So 5, let's see here. Where's 5? Who do I have? Oh, I have Rabbit. Is this the Rabbit I think? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm just gonna add Moth here for now. Okay, cool. So, okay, let me go ahead and see what's up with Cap. Let me take this off. Give me a sec. Let me put this on pause. Let me get this good to go so we can get this sexy sailor in here. All right, dude, here we go. All right, we're calling Cap.
What's up, bro?
Cap, what up, baby?
Sorry, a couple minutes late there. Was a little bit late getting kids to bed this evening.
Oh no, man, dude, not at all. We are I think half of mine are still up watching the soccer game, and the other half are
Nice.
are knocked out
Yeah,
on the
my
couch.
kids have been addicted to that. I think they're more excited though about the Knicks parade tomorrow. I'm a New Yorker, so we're diehard New York Knicks fans, and obviously they won the chip, so
Oh, dude,
they're
man.
pumped about that.
Oh, dude, I watched every single game. Man, it was.
I cried like a baby. It was so cool to watch.
Oh man, I can only imagine. I saw a bunch of like YouTube videos for people that were posting
Yeah.
just their party.
New York's been absolutely crazy. Like,
Dude,
it's
yeah.
New Yorkers being nice to each other. It's crazy how like the basketball team unites people. It's wild.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I saw. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty.
You're
nuts.
on the East Coast, right?
I
think so.
I am. Yeah. I'm Atlanta.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
which is
cool.
why like I'm shocked because I don't know if I talked to you about the New York meetup, and I don't know if maybe you just said you were busy during that weekend or something, or what happened. But
it was a soccer tournament, and I couldn't get out of. I mean,
that's what it was.
It was so bad. I was so devastated. And these guys kept like, oh, I'll come to the city, and I'm like, look, like I don't live in Manhattan, right? So I'm on Long Island. So I'm like an hour, a little over an hour out. Yeah, I'm east, and I'm like, you guys don't understand what it's like to get into Manhattan. And then, what am I going to go and have one beer with these guys? Like, no, I'm a fucking degenerate. So I'm going to be there till 4 a.m. I'm going to miss my kid's tournament, and it was the finals. So like, it wasn't just like I don't know, and like, I'm just like, look, I'd love to be there with you guys, but like, we're gonna have another opportunity. Everything's gonna be fine, man. It's fine.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, especially if the Euro thing ends up happening, then that'd be nice.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'd much rather go to Europe.
Like, I'd rather go there than my backyard.
Right, exactly. Like, oh wow, you guys saw the Statue of Liberty. Fuck it, I don't give a shit.
It's like, oh, that was your highlight. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, I mean, I would have liked to meet the people, and there was a couple of people from our alliance there and shit. So I mean, it would have been cool, but whatever, it didn't work out.
Yeah, no, I got you. Well, all right, man. Let me see what I wanted to do real quick here. Let me do this. Let's do a quick little. Let's do this. Let's see. All right, let me just get a little and let's do that. Keep it simple. And let me do another. Let I think we're okay on that. All right. So obviously I mean, obviously there's a lot to get to. I want to start with, and I know I asked you this beforehand, where you pretty much let me know as just kind of a heads up, man. Kind of anything's open that we can touch on and talk about. Obviously, there's some things I want to touch on first before.
Yeah, I don't give a shit, man.
Yeah.
Ask away.
Yeah, before we get to that. Now, and I also want to preface, because I've said this as well before, that I'm not privy to any of the to any of exactly what went down with all that. So obviously I might want to ask something about that later. But before that, what I'd like to start with for you is I'd love, again, obviously for people that don't know you, and I imagine most people probably do, on the stream, but can you just give us kind of a quick rundown, of who you are, how long have you been there in 92, your position, and just a little bit of an intro from that to kind of start us off.
Yeah, I think I was one of those people who was, I guess, I was in the target market and some ad popped up in the App Store. I think way back in the day, I was never into kingdom builders. I mean, I played various games, but I never played Rise of Kingdoms. Like, I didn't have some strong background. I've been playing games my whole life, but I predominantly first person shooters. Like, I've just been in that realm. So I don't know. I wound up playing, and in my first season, probably in the first 3 days, I started learning the game, or I shouldn't say 3 days, probably first 3 weeks, and then I got into an alliance. I got my ass beat by another alliance back in season 1. Joined these guys. They started teaching me about the game and building, and I was in leadership real quick. I was back in I was server 259, and it was predominantly Korean. By season 2, we kept growing. We won. I pushed T5 in season 1. There was like a rival guy on the other side who pushed T5, and I started learning about this game, and I didn't know anything about it. So, like, I didn't understand events. I didn't understand how to push to get rewards from it. I simply just bought the packs and pushed T5. I got the worst return on the investment you could ever imagine. So anyway, I did that, and then in season 2, we decided to branch off into 2 separate alliances. One was going to be the Korean branch, one was going to be like the NAEU branch, and that was when I took on R5 of that. We originally started as LTDT, which stood for like Live Together, Die Together, and then eventually merged when the Korean group came back in 2 seasons later. That's how we came up with the name We Are One. So we had the differentiation of cultures and stuff, and most of our names were half Korean, half English, so like we had a sense of community and etc. So that's the way it's been for, I guess it's been almost 3 years now, playing the game. And I've been R5 since season 2, so I've been doing it forever. Back when it was, I would say rather easy and complex, when we were 4 or 5 billion, and I've run the alliance, from every ounce in between, from being in the top 3 probably at one point when we were over that 30 bill mark, and then is hovering in that 20 to 25 range.
Okay.
Oh, that's my alt. Yeah, I'm watching the stream. That's not my main.
Oh.
Yeah,
no, Dave, hang on. No,
because I'm in 509 now.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Those stats are all right, but they're not nearly as good as the main, bro.
Damn it. Someone just told me that too. Rough life. Now I gotta go. 3?
I'll just DM you. Hold on.
Or the ID. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
That works too. Otherwise,
are you an S? Is that you? 68 million power? Is that you?
Oh yeah.
I think I just did you.
Yeah. Is that you? Okay, there we go. Yeah, nice. Cool. We got you. Bam. All right, I'm just gonna steal your number here. There we go. So I can do it the good old-fashioned way.
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome. Okay, so first and foremost, okay, thank you for the intro. So how do you know by chance how many seasons it's been that you've been there in 92, kind of running, operating wAo with the team?
Think I'm in my 16th season right now, and I would say that we went to server 92 probably, I don't know, I'd guess like 8 seasons ago maybe.
Okay.
But this group's been together since, season 2.
Okay.
Even season 1 with some of them, but I like I said, I took R5 in season 2.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And the core group itself, how many is it? About how strong is it, would you say, for the core group that's kind of been with you or at least stuck around for that long?
Uh, whew, uh, it's probably, I would say a solid 40 to 50 of them have been with me like the entire time, and there's probably another 30 to 40 more that have been there for a really long time, like a numerous seasons.
Okay.
We've had like a really, really solid foundation for a really long time.
Gotcha. Which, I mean, to be fair, is always good to hear. I mean, I think, anytime you can have people that are whether you whether stuck with you or are just persistently engaged and want to be around that environment and that mood that has been set, I think it makes it so much better, especially when you got people that have been around for a minute, especially people that kind of have your back, even if
Oh,
it's for like new people that are coming in that you're getting through recruits, or even just a matter of kind of setting the tone and, kind of reiterating culture, that could be such a massive help too, as well, to just succeeding, kind of lasting. Like, have you found that your core group, for how long they've been around, that there's been times where like that has really kind of came in handy and helped out, where people were kind of, extensions, almost like hand extensions of you, and
yeah,
or your mindset?
yeah. I can't express how important that's been. I'd argue it's been a point of every season, regardless of, as an alliance deals with its highs and lows, and even in the mediums, or when you're like, hey, we're gonna YOLO and go to 30 plus billion power and go fight in these KvKs. I mean, it's not like you get everybody that's like, yeah, I can't wait. There's always people that are hesitant and other things, but outside of even the core membership group, which has been absurd, I mean, my leadership team, I'd argue, is the whole reason why we existed as long as we did. I mean, I had basically no turnover in leadership when we reestablished as we moved into 92. That leadership team, like whatever it was 10 seasons ago, I mean, I've basically had the same exact leadership team minus a couple more getting added along the way, like a new data guy. When I know you've seen it too, like one of our data guy was the foundation of that Power BI reporting, and then how it evolved over the next 2 seasons, and he built all that out, and then the community kind of took that piece and used it. And then we got maybe a new behemoth guy who subbed in and helped out, or a new Discord person who subbed in and helped out, but like nobody left leadership. I can think of maybe one guy, and that was because of personal reasons. It wasn't like just work and demands, but they've been there with me through everything. They never once, and I think that's usually what happens in alliances. Leadership turnover happens. They lack stability and consistency. But like our leadership team, if somebody didn't do an event or someone didn't do it, everyone just did their job. Like it wasn't even like they had roles, but everyone still stepped into other roles to do different things. So I mean, I'd argue it's the most critical part, including the members.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think well said. I mean, I'll be honest. I could probably deep dive on that topic for God knows how long. Because and maybe another time. I absolutely will want to, especially with. And I'll probably ask something along those lines, because I know just some of the recent talk that's kind of been out there about, you know just leadership burnout and player burnout. And I've been hearing it's kind of being it's being, a topic, or at least some people have been bringing it up in the Hall of Kings chat, and I've been seeing other people just kind of, on and off on it on the COD Discord. But before maybe getting there, what I guess where I'd love to kind of go with, so, you guys get to this point where, if I'm kind of taking a look here at your guys's history in 92, and I'm showing this right now on stream, but for you guys, going back a year and 3 months, when you guys were climbing, and I'd say here about a year ago in SOS 9, you guys are around 22 bill power, and you kind of have like this steady climb. SOS 13, you was kind of like your peak there at that point, where it was like 32 bill, like something to that effect. And then a little bit of a kind of refine. You guys kind of go back down to 22 and a half. Then you're kind of hanging out there at 22 as well again. And then, we get to a point with where you guys are at now, going into basically taking, KvK2, filling that out, and you guys end up 31, right? So you're still pretty around there, right? Around where you're kind of like your second peak at that time. Given that you guys, and again, for G2, you guys came in ranked sixth, is where you guys were out of the G2 pool for all the kingdoms there that were like at least around 5 billion power or more. I mean, was the goal at that point? I mean, I guess I'm just curious from like your perspective, was it, what was one of the goals, or just even a main goal, ideally to want to be KvK1, to try and always kind of continue working your way back up to the top, regardless of how long it took? Or was it more of like, nah, like we're actually complacent being, if we play a season here in KvK2, but I guess kind of the underlying goal was it always to kind of work your way back up? Because I mean, at least based on kind of the power growth, at least for that one time, and maybe even coming back again here, you guys have had like 2 KvK stints, at least in the past year, where you've been above 30 bill power as a kingdom. So I guess I'm just curious on like, what was the mindset there on kind of where you guys wanted to be and how you were going to get there?
Yeah, I mean, when we dip down into some of those lower 20 powers, I mean, some of the fights, I mean, the season before the last one we just had was kind of miserable. Like our enemies didn't even really enter final zone. They were scared of us with Deco and Bastions, and so like, I mean, I'd say that the sentiment of our group was always to be in a competitive KvK. I wouldn't say it was necessarily like we want to be in KvK1, because those are exhausting. In my personal opinion, the best way to handle KvKs, you have to go in like rotations. Like you have to have 1 to 2, like, KvK1, KvK2, which is super aggressive. It's super draining. You wind up depleting res. I walked into last season with, I don't know, 4.5 billion mana. I probably acquired another 2.5 billion. And at one point I had, 12 million. Like it was gone, depleted.
Jeez.
So like, and it's not like you can't replenish that, but you need some time to build it. You can only access so much mana, and those KvKs require, a shit ton. Even with the change of the supply station, I mean, sure, you can buy 3 billion mana, but it's $1,000 every single time. I know some people like to just blow, countless ends of money. I don't really love dropping 3 grand in a KvK just on mana. It's a little absurd. So like, I think there has to be a balance where you kind of dip, ebb and flow out of KvK1 and KvK2. And then again, sitting in KvK 3, 4, 5, I think those are, usually fairly competitive, but they're not like KvK 1 or KvK 2. As we were ramping up for next season, we brought in some other players. We had a good migration again, and it was like, all right, we're creeping up a little bit. And honestly, right before the KvK, we were targeting KvK 2. Like, we didn't really necessarily want to go to KvK 1. And when the stats came out, I was like, shit, like we're in 6th, we're going to KvK 1. And even my members were like, I thought you said KvK 2. I'm like, yeah, I tried. I'm like, but I think we're just a few too many recruited. And then all of a sudden they threw MFD and whoever else, I forget, and fuck KvK 1. And I was like, oh shit, see, I told you guys, just as I planned it. Here we are, KvK 2. So, I mean, we were targeting KvK 2 for sure, and we got it.
Okay. And I don't know if I've ever asked you or talked to you about this. I'm curious, what do you think? Because I talked to a couple people in KvK1 about how that played out with them with the MFD and Hunt being added there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make kind of a separate video and really kind of do more of a deep dive and share my thoughts based on kind of how things played out. Because I think what I'll just say shortly about it is the way that, and I only say this because what we ended up hearing early on in the Diplo was that at one point, YSS wanted to change teams after the initial teams were already set. And I'm over here sitting to myself thinking this is like hilarious, because personally, and I remember I did a video on this where I basically called it was like a 3 versus 2.5 is really what it was. And that was my feeling on it. And I had a couple of people that responded to that, and they were like, dude, that's like the most based title for the video. With people, I guess others understanding kind of where I was going with it and how I felt that in that kind of 3 versus 2.5. Like, it was just a given. Like, it maybe not a holistic given, but I very much thought that there was an advantage on, like, a clear advantage on their side, where, and they were kind of worried about, and it was just funny because of the whole, like, oh well, YSS wanted to switch teams, and maybe it may not necessarily have been because of that. It might have just been because maybe they wanted to try and get some action in earlier zones, but I imagine part of it probably was included in that. So anyways, that's just kind of my little quick short take that I kind of had in, and I just thought it was funny that happened, and they kind of asked to get traded or to redo teams, and it's like, you clearly have an advantage here, but other people just didn't, like, almost feel that was, I guess, I don't know. I guess other people just probably didn't feel necessarily it was the case, I guess, based on how things were playing out because of the split and whatnot. But I'm curious what you think, though, about, like, the MFD and the Hunt situation.
I think,
did they need to be included, or should it have just been a stronger sixth?
No, it's asinine. It makes no fucking sense. Like, those guys don't want to be there. They're at the power levels that they're at. They're not expecting to be in KvK1. And again, I'm sure they use their algorithms and they have models, and I'm sure they're using AI to try to figure out matchmaking. But someone is in there manipulating that. There's no way that is the conclusion it comes to. And it ruins KvK1 because those people already go in with a mindset of, I can't do shit, or I can't compete, or I'm not willing. And then you've got to, pray that you're meshing two leadership teams that are going to be in the same starting zone to work well together, that they can, build together. That, I don't know if you know this, but builders are quite opinionated on how they should do things. And you got to,
I need to
all
talk
that
to some, apparently.
Jesus God. And you're expecting that to work out in what's supposed to be the highest competitive KvK in that. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, did I want to be there? No. Should we have been there? Yes. And would it have made an impact or difference? Yes. I think the other thing, and again, this isn't my KvK or whatever, to think that those guys thought that they were going to put Jason in Dark. Oh, speaking of which, by the way, if you ever compare me to Dark again, I am unsubbing. I'm never fucking coming back. I want to put that out there. I want that on the record. Fuck that guy. But
I'm pretty sure I had a light comparison. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, no, you could say light, medium. I don't give a fuck what it is. Never again, BN. Number two, whoever thought putting Jay and Dark in the same Diplo conversation and was expecting some result that would be favorable for the KvK is fucking delusional. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Fair. That's fair.
So they were destined for failure the minute they put those two together.
I'm sure you heard,
I mean, I'm happy they worked it out, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure you heard it when I covered the VC league, when we actually heard him say, the zone lock, it's the zone,
right? I mean, and Jay's being irrational and being like, okay, cool, whatever. I get they get history, but, like, guys, you fucking idiots, like, separate them, like, figure it out, like, put the adults in the room and let them work it out. They obviously hate each other, and I can. I mean, I feel for that. Like, if you ever put Dark and me in a conversation and Dark is sitting there trying to talk reason to me, whatever he says could be the smartest thing in the world, and I'm still going to look at him like he's the stupidest guy I've ever met in my entire life, just because of arrogance and stupidity historically. I could never get to a point of reasonableness with him. I couldn't. I know that, and they should know that too.
Yeah. I mean, I will say my comments on that were actually, you know what? Hang on, before I share my comments on that, let me go grab my kiddos just so I can put them up in their bed. So I'll let you, if you want to read through some chat real quick. I'll be right back. Give me just like a minute or two.
Yeah, sure. I'll get to mod chat. Let's just see here. Look, if you're gonna write Cap Dark, at least spell Dark correct. You wrote Darl. And I don't know what to tell you. Fluffy was good, brother. Have I said ultimately a lot? God damn it. I guess I do that. That's a problem. My guys make it a drinking game in the town halls. I don't like that at all. Help Cap. No. What else is in here? Peekapool. You starting with the 30 NA shit already? Burke, what's up, bro? Hell of a KvK. I think that's another thing that probably is misunderstood. I know KvK1 had their drama, but KvK2 was probably the best final zone I've ever fought in. Milk, I look, I give them a lot of credit. Those guys are, I mean, not that it's a surprise to anyone, but they were absolutely insane. 30 IQ, yeah. Those fucking guys. I can't wait to cover that later. Unreal. But shout out to Milk. They were great. And RFF is the GOAT, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you guys know that. I know Milk is over 30 billion right now, but that RFF group is some of the greatest fighters I've ever played with. Hell no. Tiny's the R5. I'm an R1. I'll tell you guys this. When Tiny asked me, what do I hope to get out of this? I said, I hope that Final Zone opens. I'm going to be the guy in the chat bitching about a siege tower, and I want to get siege tower to the back line, and I want to harass people. I don't want to talk about build plans. I don't want to build a fucking tower. I don't want to do anything. Jason and Dark versus Captain and Wayne, same. One can hope that we get 30 NA in next season's KvK. Oh boy, nothing would make me happier. Can I please tell Genesis he's new? Yeah, Genesis was, I mean, he was out there. He was fighting. I think he put up almost 200 mil. I feel like him and Heist were competing. He was annoying for sure. No doubt about it. Him and Heist, I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't know. I don't know if they literally just sit there all day or those guys are active, man.
All right. We're back.
Welcome back.
Right.
We're just chatting.
Nice.
We chat.
All right. Whew. My middle child has some pounds on her. I'll just say that. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'll just say she's healthy. And I mean, listen, man, I've been, I gym and I run every other day. So, but
Yeah.
with that in mind. Okay. So I know we were touching lastly where I left off on the Dark situation and them kind of being in the room together and doing all that. And I said this before. My whole thing is, I feel again you're pretty spot on there. Where it's just my take was you have to have other people that are available to be able to just hop in real quick. Or even as a co-R5 or someone else that can do Diplo and, just kind of make that executive decision to have someone else communicate. And I think it also comes down to having a level of self-awareness where you just need to know, hey, I'm just not the best person right now to be in this conversation, to be having this conversation. Let me have someone else do it. But then I think kind of in that VC, where it kind of felt like maybe we only really got kind of a part of it, or maybe that was just the main meat of it all that happened. My other thought was, and I said this as well, kind of just before, Jason even said anything, which was, at that time, why not just kind of ask, why are all these extra people in the call, right? Kind of how he made it seem, and just try and get to the bottom of it to kind of assess the situation before anyone's kind of tops blow off. I think that could have potentially just helped.
Yeah, it's just they did it. You would almost think like they were all content creators and wanted the clickbait material the way they went about. I mean, KvK2 Diplo, I think you actually covered it if I remember correctly with Savage and them. It was fucking super simple, man. People couldn't get in VC at the time, so we were mostly in chat. I mean, I went in there, I just kind of like laid down the law. I was like, hey, here's our powers, here's what we got, here's a couple matchups that we think just statistically make sense. What do you guys think? We went back and forth, and I mean, I think it was like 20, 30 minutes. And I mean, Diplo was done. There was no drama, no bullshit. And that's the way usually all of my KvK Diplos go. I mean, I don't think I can really remember a time where I've had some long drawn out process. I mean, most are solved simply. When I was in KvK 1, 2, 3 seasons ago, we hopped in VC and I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, we had it all hashed out and it was done. Because usually the data suggests only 2 or 3 like super logical matchups.
Yeah.
And then usually someone hates somebody and it's like, okay, well, got it. That's the predefined. You two aren't going to work together. And you just figure it out from there. You try to make it as fair as possible. I would say 98% of the time in the Diplo stuff, everybody wants it to be fair. I wouldn't say that the vast majority don't want that. Usually they do. Some people try to undersell their power or their capabilities to try to quote unquote Diplo win. But most of the time you can call their bullshit out and keep moving.
Yeah. So again, I want to get to that now a little bit more on the KvK portion. So for you guys in KvK2, and again, I heard this from Gray Balls. I heard this from Savage at the time, where they basically said, yeah, man, listen, like the KvK Diplo was pretty quick. It was like been there, done that. Everyone was very cordial. Everything kind of got together pretty quick. And I mean, I guess I'm curious for you because to me, each of them told me that they were happy. excuse me, not Great Balls. It was Savage and I think, was it not Pepe, because he was NXW. God, who else did I talk to? Oh gosh, I got to dig deep here now. Maybe it was just Savage. I swear I thought I talked to someone else there, but maybe it was just him. Anyways, I could say at least Savage. I know he told me from 698 at the time that he liked the teams, and the Diplo went great. Said he had a great experience with them and their team coming in to G2 for the first time. For your thoughts with how the teams settled, again, were you happy with the teams and how the dust settled for who was with who?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we were fine with it. I think we, as a kingdom, wanted to work with RFF. We fought them a couple times in the past. I've always had a great deal of respect for them, and when we were looking kind of at what the potential statistics were, we were chatting beforehand, and me and Tutran, who's their R5, were like, "Hey, man, if we get an opportunity, we'd love to do that." So that was kind of predetermined. Plus, we all knew that us and Milk had to be on opposite sides because we were the two, heaviest hitting kingdoms on paper, especially from like Deco and stuff. So we knew that had to happen. And based on where we were placed on the map, it was set up well for us to 1v1 Milk in zone 2. So like it all, that kind of, some of that stuff just played into it. Like we saw that. I mean, at one point we were dabbling with a 4v2 where it would have been WoW and Milk versus everybody else, but that quickly got kiboshed. And I think there was a lot of concerns about 698 just because of the amount of T4s and their lack of experience, even though Beastlef was there and he's been in KvKs and G2 before, but nobody had I don't think anyone had like a great deal of like, oh wow, I think they're going to be insane. Thought they were going to be hungry and stuff, but easily beatable. And then there was concerns about 30 NA just because they're well known in the community about their, by the way, we said we created a new drinking game that every time Hulksten says downtime in a video, we have to take a shot. And but their downtime is well known, so there's always concerns when you ally with a kingdom like that. So, but yeah, we were all happy with the outcome.
No, I got you. Okay. So you guys have teams established. Everything is playing out in the season. I mean, it seems like. I mean, walk me through how your guys' zone 2 played out. You guys ended up, let me see here real quick. What do I have for you guys on KvK2? You guys ended up facing Milk. In zone 2, it was Chong Li for where you guys played out. How did you feel about the zone 2? Did you feel everyone was pretty satisfied with like how much PvP everyone got? I mean, did it feel pretty fulfilling?
Oh yeah. I mean, the joke was, I was in Disney for Zone 2. I mean, that is true.
Yeah, I remember we heard that.
Yeah. I actually was in Disney World. So like I was fighting at night, and I caught the end of it. I thought, Zone 2 was a bloodbath from the deads, from the merits. I mean, it was a wildly intense Zone 2. We lost. I know we talked about this, like definition of losing a zone. Like we had lost control of I think it was a Hydra, lost control of the Hydra. They had kind of secured that. We were about one tower away. We were a tower ahead of them. We missed the placement. They got a tower and whatever, we lost. We held ground for a long time. They pushed over the bridge and the spire at some point. Zone 2 fight went on. Almost all the way till zone 3. They did 2 or 3 different like pushes on us. We sustained the first 2. They finally broke us on the third, but we took a heavy amount of deads in zone 2 fighting through that. But yeah, zone 2s, I think in all 3 matchups were great. 698 fought 30 NA, so they got their fair share of fights in, and then RFF fought RAC. And on paper, those were the right matchups. Like that's what you would expect to happen. 698 eventually had their whole nonsense that happened in zone 2, and they started, and 30 NA wound up pushing them through. After, in that zone, initially 698 had the upper hand. They had control of the Hydra. They were winning, and then eventually 30 NA broke through them, and RFF always held control of the Hydra and sustained that. But everybody fought the entire length of zone 2. It was actually a super healthy zone 2.
Yeah. No, I remember covering that too as well when we kind of did some of the daily recaps and then the summaries of who ended up winning. And I'll say, and I said this as well when I even talked about kind of how the KvK 1 played out, which I thought in most of the top KvKs, at least this season in particular, it seemed as though on average, the zone twos and the final zones lasted a lot longer than what I have typically seen historically over even just the past 5 or 6 KvK seasons. And I'm not talking in just kind of one KvK or another, but like within the top 10 KvKs that I covered, there was a lot more longer lasting fights that happened over a course of multiple days on average in a lot of them. So I mean, at least for me, again, I look at that as a win, even if it might be a smallish win, but I definitely felt it was a step in the right direction, at least compared to what we've historically seen.
I think specifically with that map, which plays into the zone twos, is what is the outcome of the zone 3 invasions, which typically causes a kingdom to pull out of zone 2 sooner rather than later. In our situation, the way the map was set up, and we did choose to leave the zone 2 between Milk and RFF. The deal was that nobody could invade that zone until 5 days after final zone.
I remember this. Oh,
It
I love that.
kept the 1v1s exclusive, and everyone agreed, and that it didn't, people weren't going elsewhere because we wanted to focus on the zone 2 fight, and that zone really wasn't important. So we had no zone 3 real invasion opportunities. So it allowed the full, to the full PvP extent of zone 2, because teams weren't concerned about being hurt or healed and having to get in and defend in a 2v1 situation or get cut from final zone. It is very common in this KvK, in this map, whatever SOS it was, I don't remember, to get for at least one alliance to be cut. Every time I played this map prior, somebody got cut. We didn't have that happen, and everyone got the final zone, so it was good.
No, absolutely. And I mean, it's funny because I talked about this too as well when I was covering your guys' matchups, and I can't remember who told that to me. It was someone there told me that you guys had agreed. Maybe it was Savage from 698 at the time or someone else, but I remember I had at least 1 or 2 people there from KvK2 telling me this is how you guys set everything up. And I mean, to be fair, I mean, I could only applaud because I mean, I've been talking about this since basically inception of the game on how like when we first started seeing those KvKs and people were getting zone locked because of the zone 3 invades, and it was basically just done and over. Like you just killed the KvK off for the most part, pretty much right then and there. I mean, unless something drastic happened or some team switches ended up occurring and then it kind of evened things up in the FZ. In most cases, you had one team going in with an advantage versus another one, and it just deflated motivation, it deflated engagement, and I just don't think it's healthy overall. And my stance has always been very consistent where it's like, look, man, I just want to see everyone make it to the FC. I don't care how long you last. We're not asking for handouts here. We're not asking for like some super handicaps or anything like that. It's just give at least everyone the opportunity to get in, and then let them, depending on how long they stay, is, by their own merits, right? By their own efforts and their own strengths. And if they end up getting pushed out and then they start getting pushed through their pass into their zone 3, so be it. And if you eventually get zone lock, so be it. But at least let people make it there and feel some sense of accomplishment as though they were at least able to do everything and participate fully all the way in a season. That's kind of always been my take. And I absolutely loved how you guys set it up, because one of the things I've talked about before is like, man, understand that the game is a sandbox. You can do whatever you want. You can set whatever rules you guys want. You do not have to just follow along with what the game is telling you to do. It's like, oh, well, the pass opens here, so now we got to go through the pass. Like, why wouldn't we go through the pass? You know what I mean? Like, you can do whatever you want as long as everyone agrees. And that's kind of always been my thing, is like, as long as everyone can come together and understand that we're setting certain things up for the betterment of the overall KvK, and not just looking at our own kingdom and how we can be the ones to benefit over others. To me, that's always felt like the better of the two options on how you're going to get a lot better of an overall KvK experience for all of the players that are participating in it.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a topic during our KvK or Diplo discussions. Like, everyone wanted people in final zone. I mean, again, even when people have gotten cut, I mean, some of those fights have been great too. I mean, that's part of one of the map advantages. And like, if it happens, it happens. I mean, I remember when we played this map, when we did the 4v2 versus Echo and BDO. Man, I can't remember who it was that got cut on our team, but somebody got cut. But I mean, they were like that fight was insane in that zone 3, and then they pushed through the past 4 and came into final zone, and they were cutting them from behind. So like there have been like instances which has made its cool different pieces about the KvK, but specifically in this one, it was like, hey, look, this is cool. Everyone gets a fair, even one-on-one. We didn't know what the outcomes were, though I think the outcomes probably ended the way that we thought they would. And then, like I said, everyone got into final zone. And I'll be honest, like in all of my seasons, this final zone fight that we just had was probably the best, most competitive, crazy ending. And I'm not talking about when we cut 30 NA, because that's just a little sugar on top. But the actual fight when we finally broke milk, that was probably the best final zone fight I think I've ever had.
Yeah, yeah. And I think at least on the point you made there for milk, I think it just shows the potential there on those people, for however many of them, right, that were ex Echo, kind of coming back and really kind of rebuilding into their own as milk, and showing that, like, look, man, we can work our way back up to be a top competitive alliance. And I mean, I hope they do. I hope they can work their way, especially if
they're all
if they
back
plan
now.
to.
I'm pretty sure that entire band is back together.
Oh yeah. And we covered it, right, with all the people that migrated out and then all the people that migrated back in. I mean, there was a healthy amount. And I mean, I know they brought in some new people as well. But for me, at least, there's just something, I guess, maybe nostalgic about when I think of Kingdom 60, when I think of like Kingdom 5 with Nawar, when I think about OG Kingdom 23 with TFS, like some of these kingdoms that just, it almost feels like it's a little bit more than a number to me. And to see,
yeah, man, they're putting the band back together. I think it's super cool. I'm happy for them. And I mean, look, they were D-Gens last year. I just like, what a terrible fucking name. I've been saying this the whole time. Like, I mean, such a cool alliance. So like they've been awesome. They fight great. And then you came up with milk. You know what I mean? Like, man, there's just
dude, it's crazy you have that take, because I kind of like it only because of all of the sayings and all of like the little quips that you can play.
Oh, I had my fair share of fun with that. Whether it was cookies or we're talking about a lot of different shit this season. I mean, we definitely had fun with it, but it's still like, oh, we're the most badass lines. Oh, really cool. Yeah. We're what's your name? It's like, oh, yeah, milk. Like, what the fuck did you just say? Milk.
That's what you're saying from that.
And there's no like, it's not an acronym. It's just milk. Like, like M doesn't stand for anything. It's just fucking milk. So whatever. Hey man, do you play?
I guess when you put it like that, damn. But yeah, I mean, I'll still rock with it.
Like, do you ever think like these kingdoms, like these big kingdoms, like they get into like they get merch and they do all sorts of shit. You've seen all that stuff with like Rock and like Guns guys merch. What the fuck are they gonna do? Like they're gonna put like a milk carton on the shirt, or a hat. Like what? I mean, hey man,
dude. So on the note of kingdoms doing, I did not know that kingdoms be doing merch. I mean, I know I've seen some CCs do that. Like I know Chisgul has some merch. I think Omni might have some, and I know Guns had just put out a line. But I don't. Yeah, that's interesting though. I've never heard of or seen any kingdoms like selling merch for like their kingdom. That's interesting. Yeah,
we were going down that path. I mean, we were going there a couple of seasons ago. I just never did it, but I was gonna fund it and do the whole thing. Yeah. It wasn't really going to be like a revenue thing. I wasn't necessarily trying to sell it.
Yeah, like just for your people.
Members. Yeah.
But that's dope though. It's just it's like it's a limited edition. It's just for these people to kind of have and do. No, man, I think that's a great idea, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get to the KvK. We talk KvK 2. We talk Zone 2. We talk Zone 3. I want to obviously talk some Final Zone stuff here in a bit, but before we get there, talk to me again. I want to get into kind of your decision and or how the decision came about, when it revolves around the basic kind of disband and then kind of the migration out together. But I want to know at least kind of what led up to the decision. Was this something that was a little bit more spur of the moment? Was it something that was building over a couple seasons? Did it start small and you just didn't think it was going to grow to be that big, and then it kind of eventually got to a point where like, look, man, we have to address this? Was it something where it was kind of always big, but you were just kind of, kicking the can down the road, hoping that maybe it would get addressed? Like, what did that build up look like? How far back did it start? And, what was, I guess, how did you feel at the time when you did start noticing it?
Yeah, I would say that it probably, I mean, it definitely was a couple seasons ago. And some of I have like an inner core group of like 5 or 6 people. And I started to like, it was probably about 3 seasons ago. And I was like, hey, like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. It's, it is beyond burdensome. And, one of the things, I know that happens in WoW, and I can't really speak for other alliances, but it's something I've heard time and time again. Like, the alliance functions so differently when I'm there, I'm in VC, I'm yelling, I'm war leading, and yelling by yelling, I'm just loud in general. I'm not like sitting there, I'm not like berating people in VC. I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah. You're
do
not. You're not. You're
definitely
not
make
Jake
fun of
easing it.
people.
It's okay.
No, no, no. I mean, I'm
Oh,
definitely like,
only because I
where
love
the
Jason.
fuck are you going, or get the fuck over here? But I'm not like, I'm not like, cursing their firstborn child per se. But so like the alliance that always acts and behaves and candidly fights differently when I'm there and I'm present. And I like to think that I am wildly active. But then there are times, sure, where like, and yes, I'm a 38-year-old dad of 2, of 7 and 12-year-old. I'm married, and like life happens, and the big into sports and soccer's, and like the whole thing started with Row League when I missed a Row League match because it was Halloween, and it was my wife scheduled us and another 2 families, and they were going to the pumpkin patch. I mean, that's literally where we were going.
Dude,
And people
that will
started
forever
like,
be iconic.
you know what I mean? Like I get memed and like, okay, that shit's funny, but like
Yeah, yeah.
to think that, but some of that shit started like, I mean, Dark started that, I remember,
Oh,
and he was being like sincere, like, I can't believe that you, and I'm like, and then in my head, I'm thinking, I'm like, you living in mom's basement, like incompetent fuck. Like, how could you not realize that like that's more
yeah.
important than playing in a row match? You
It
know what I
is.
mean?
It
Like,
is.
as much as like I love competing and I love doing this, like I'm not picking that shit over my kids. Like it's not like, oh, like they're like, oh, reschedule it. It's like, motherfucker, I don't schedule my life around the game either.
Yeah.
And I mean, actually, that's not true. I do. I have.
Yeah.
There was one final zone against WB 10 seasons ago, and I didn't realize because there's like a thing in the uh there's like a timeline at the bottom of like the dragon screen, and it gives a date. And what I saw a date was I thought was Final Zone, but it actually was the reverse pass invasion. And this
Oh.
Final Zone actually opened before. And I had a meeting, a very large meeting scheduled where I had like 50 people flying into a certain city in the US. And I lead it, whatever, in my role in the company that I run. And I was like, oh my God, fucking Final Zone opened on the day. And I had to call my EA and get the entire thing fucking moved. I was like, I can't miss this Final Zone. And like that's insane saying that out loud that I did that, but I did. And so like those things happen. But like again, for the most part, on a day-to-day basis, no, I'm trying to do what I can do. But when you're sitting there from Friday morning till Monday night, and I've spent 21 hours out of 24 for 4 consecutive days, and like my family knows, like they're like, "Hey, is it Final Zone?" I'm like, "Yep." And my wife's bringing me fucking dinner downstairs. Like I don't move from my computer. I'm
Damn.
fighting.
That is. Oh my God. So she's so like so they're aware. Like she knows.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and I tell the team all the time, like she makes fun of me. She's like, "Oh, you little fucking troops getting attacked," and like, because I'll like, like midday, like I'll have to run downstairs and I'll have to delete some towers and need to be on my PC. And she's like, "Oh, you little troops getting attacked," and I'm like, "Fuck you," and I go downstairs. But like when Final Zone opens, she knows, like shit. She gets more like energy drinks. She's coming downstairs, like you need anything. She hears me screaming when like we break a bastion. Like when we broke Milk's bastion last time, she came down. She's like, "Oh, did you win?" I'm like, "It's not like win or lose right now, but this is an important milestone." So like, and my kids get into it and they're like,
Oh,
"Oh,
dude.
they're talking crap about Milk at dinner." Like, so, like it's spoken about.
Dude,
Yes, like my family knows.
dude, that is
And
awesome,
she
man. That's a
caters to
W
me.
lady right there.
Yeah, I mean, she caters to me. She lets me do my thing, and she knows like how passionate I am about it. She thinks it's funny, like when I don't like if I like take a day off from work because I'm in war, like
Yeah.
like it's a Tuesday pass open, and I'm like, nah, fuck it. I'll come downstairs, and she's like, "You going up?" I'm like, "Nah, my office is upstairs." I'm like, I got war today, and she's like, "Oh," she's like, "All right,
I
cool."
got
Like,
more today.
I mean, that's what happens,
No, I know. It's,
But at the same time, like, I also know a little bit how crazy that is. And like, I run a very, very, very large company in my day job. And at sometimes people, like the burden of that, or knowing that like I'm letting my team down of those 150 people, like I can't be there, I'm not fighting, and then I'm getting fucking DMs in Discord, and I'm getting all these messages in game, and then I'm on my iPad and I'm trying to help them real quick in between a meeting, and it becomes so overwhelming, and such a burden. And the game, the developers, it's funny, when I announced publicly the disband, I put a minor rant in King's chat.
Oh, you did?
I did. And
Screenshot
it
it. I
was
need it.
it was kind of like heat of the moment, and I was just like, honestly, like it was a sad time too. Like I was in my emotions, I guess you could say, because like disbanding the alliance is not something I took lightly by any stretch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll find it. But I basically told them, I was like, I hope you fucking people, meaning the developers, wake up and realize how difficult you have all made this game, and how much time, how much energy, how much time it takes as an R5. I screenshot and DM'd you in game. I guess I could have sent it in I sent it on Discord as well.
Cool.
And I basically told them,
can I share this while you're talking about it? Or
yeah, you're fine. Okay. Yeah, you might as well just show it. It'll be easier.
Okay, no, I will. Go ahead. Yeah, I got it.
So I basically told him at the end, I said, join an alliance, play in the final zone, put up an 80 mil merit season, spend your own fucking money, and then tell me you want to do that every 40 days. And if they actually physically go do that, I'd be shocked if any of them are like, oh, wow, that's awesome. And these guys get paid for a living to develop this fucking game. But I want them to do it. I want you to go experience. Feel what it's like to run 5, 6 different shells, worrying about what alliance has what resource. How do we plan this? How do we move 20, 30 people here, 30, 40 people here? Like everyone kept talking about bastions. And it's moved past that. It's become part of the game. But now when you've got our final zone, we had like 25 bastions around the like it was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And that's how you move territory now. The open field fight. Like nobody breaks a tower the hard way anymore. Like you don't actually sit there and grind through, break them. I mean, you do, but
the good old fashioned way, like season
one. The vast majority is like, oh, cool, I'm gonna fucking delete a tower and drop another bastion. And oh, here we go. And I used a build buff, and let me go get my 9th fucking shell to go build down with farms. I've heard people talking about they're paying builders, and like they got all these, it's not even bots now. Now they got people paying people to go build towers, and I don't really give a shit. It's fine, but like that's not the basis of what the game is. The basis of the game was getting activity, being out there on the field fighting, which is why it was better than Rock, in my opinion. Like you break these towers and like everything was great. So I put this little fucking rant. I'm like, before you guys remove me out of the chat, I hope you guys, somebody just wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
And then literally the next day, all of a sudden Gloria comes by and she goes, oh, by the way, here's the update from the developers on bastions, and we're going to limit bastions. I'm like, so it took, maybe it's coincidence, but just because I put this little rant, all of a sudden now the developers have a bastion update. And apparently now the devs want to have a one-on-one, which, I mean, bring it on, motherfuckers. I'm ready. I hope someone's ready to listen.
Dude, so interesting thing. I don't know if you heard about this, but I mean, I can say it now because it's over. But there was a couple people. I think Jason was someone. There was a few others too as well that I had heard. Had actually went to go and meet with the devs and some of the COD staff at the New York City meetup before the meetup. I think it was like the day before the meetup, or it was earlier in that day or something. That was like the word that was going around. And I had talked to a couple of the people that had went to go do the meeting. They were like, yeah, this actually happened. So it was, I mean, on one hand, you're thinking to yourself, well, this is great that they're like willing to kind of sit down with a few people, hear some things out, obviously depending on kind of what was talked about and, kind of what their feelings were on it. But, and then obviously you telling me this now that they kind of want to sit down. And, the funny part is, and I'm sure you probably know this, at least when it comes to my content, but my content, I very much like, to me, I have always viewed, and I've said this publicly multiple times, I've always viewed the game in like 2 areas. The area that's like the light and the area that's the shadow. that doesn't really get talked about as much. And the light area is like, when you think about it from a content perspective, when you think about kind of what's more public, what, a player who's just joining like a Discord and you probably would hear first and foremost, is people are going to be talking about how to progress your account, how to spend, how to how to prioritize your tech path, how to, be an active person in a kingdom, how to, what war pets to get first, how to prioritize those, which heroes, what pairings do I need to run? How do I build out efficient legions? How do I build out efficient talent trees? Like, these are typically the first things that you're going to usually be subjected to and hear about as a new player coming in. What you don't usually hear about, and what's kind of off to the side, is a lot of the things that I like to talk about and I like to cover, because I personally feel that these things are a lot more impactful on the overall state of the game than the other stuff, which is great. And there is a place for it and a space for it. But personally, I think this is like the other 50% of the game. And sometimes I even argue that it's a little bit more than 50% of really what goes into it, because it just is literally tied to everything. And it has so much ripple effects and implications. And that has to do with all the day-to-day operations, all the kingdom management, all the alliance management, all the KvK management. I mean, literally anything and everything that has to go into it that I love to talk about, because to me, I personally just feel that the value of those things is so much more important than some of the other areas. And so to hear you talk about this, and literally I can feel and hear your passion, it brings warm, cuddly hugs to my body, because it's really nice to hear someone else that really gets it, and anyone out there who really does get it. Because to me, I just, these are just things I don't hear talked about with, I would say, as kind of broadly spoken, or at least as public, if you will, from as many people that are in these kinds of positions where it's like, man, look, this is a real thing. And it's one of those reasons why you hear me also make that comparison on how, like, the developers need to start looking at kingdoms as they are like branch stores of their company. And they need to look at store managers like they are the R5. And then the department leads like they're officers, and the employees like they're the players. And you have to start looking at all of these commonalities on how people spend money in kingdoms. Well, those are, your employees, selling your products and having the customers come in and buy stuff. Like, you want your store to have a good net revenue, just like you want your kingdom to be, from a developer perspective, to partly have people that are spending on it as well. Like, these are all things that are incentivized, and it's kind of a win-win all around. And anyways, obviously, without kind of going too far down the rabbit hole, I just wanted to just say that part, that, I mean, I love the fact that you said that, because I think there's so much more meaning to it, and it's so much deeper than I think the average player really understands it. And I think just a step further to that, the same thing I feel like is on the developer side too as well. It almost feels like, I don't know if the word disconnect is probably right, but I think that there's something there that needs to be bridged, because they created this game and they created the sandbox and they had this idea on how it was going to play, but it's very different once you're actually in it, you're playing it, but you're also participating in all of the things that have nothing to do with just going in and doing day-to-day player tasks, right? That you're touching on.
Right.
So anyways, I mean, a little bit of a long rant, but again, just kind of nodding to that, because I think everything you said is right.
I think disconnect is it. And that's why I literally said, I want you to join an alliance, play a final zone. And I can't imagine that they do that, because even when you think about the amount of shells, like, stop with the shells, just increase our tower capacity, our alliance res production. Let us just run one damn shell, because then it's like, oh, alliance mobilization's here. Oh, we did that in WoW 3. So now, oh, did you do your quest? Now I got to go join that. But WoW 3 is not on the front lines of the KvK. That was our Zone 2 shell. So now people are hopping in there. People are getting rallied off territory. They forget about this. People are constantly moving all this other, and they're like, oh, don't worry, we gave you a priority list. It's like, oh yeah, because that's exactly what the officers of this alliance want to do. They want to set up 5 or 6 different fucking priority lists based on what rank they are, and go through that over and over and over every single time someone leaves. And it's just like, the delusion is wild, and they wonder why people get burned out. It's like, because I can't just show up, create a little build plan, get into one alliance, build, fight, win or lose, and then okay, cool, let's do the next one. And there's a lot of creative stuff that can come into that, but like we've made the game so complex because of their desire to increase deads, increase spend, whatever. Obviously, it should be all revenue based. And again, like we've been telling them all the time, you want revenue? Like give us more cosmetics. Let me turn my armor fucking red. Make it shimmer. Make and then they create some March stuff. There's plenty of other things they can do that I know every person that spends money and probably people that don't spend money would spend money on. And instead, they've just made so much more complexity to the game that, again, for myself as a former, I guess now, kingdom leader, and again, I firmly believe, and people will hate and troll they want, I firmly believe we ran one of the best kingdoms in the game for a very, very, very long time, sustained at the highest level for a super long time, and like, I'm super proud of that. But to me, I'm shocked that I did it as long as I did. I almost feel like I'm psychotic for doing it as long as I did. And I would have loved to have kept going, but it's unmanageable, or like you have to be unemployed, single, and literally no responsibilities to do this, in my opinion, on and on and on again for the long term, because you can't do it. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. I think anyone objectively would agree with that. I mean, I don't think anyone is looking at wAo and be like, oh yeah, they had all these massive swings and ups and downs and we're just never had any level of consistency. I mean, I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, historically, even when I look at 92, and you guys have always kind of worked your way up, and there's always been kind of a consistent upward trajectory that's been going on. I mean, even just from some of the limited data that we showed off as well. And so, yeah, I don't think that, anyone would really argue otherwise who at least is familiar with the track record of the kingdom. I kind of going back to the note of, us looking at the like some of those other things. It was funny when you said the part about cosmetics, because I've actually been a pretty big proponent of the cosmetic portion. And one of the things I even thought of, actually, I just thought of now while you were saying that. Did you ever play Halo, or familiar if you ever watched Halo?
I'm a PlayStation boy.
Okay,
I don't like you Microsoft cats. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm sorry. We're going to have to fucking end this interview. Just the level of disrespect. So okay, but what I'll say is that if you ever played Halo, or if you've played any games where they have, where they have, for example, oh God, what is it, like kill streaks, right? Or they give you like notifications of these things, right? To me, it almost would be dope if they did something like that in COD, where you could like buy a cosmetic animation, and it would like there'd be different animation themes depending on how many kills you got while all your units were out there in the field.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right. So it's like if you got a kill streak, or if you got 3, 4, 5 kills in a row, or like 5, 10 kills in a row, or something like that, or maybe you got 2 or 3 kills within 5 seconds or within a quick period, maybe you got something that would animate above your characters or something like that. It would say like ×3 kill streak, or like, or it would, like in Halo, they'd be like, they had these nicknames, right? Depending on if you had 5 in a row or 10 in a row or something, and it'd be like Killtacular, stuff like that, or Killionaire, right? These kinds of things that you would get if you hit a certain one. Like, I think, and again, that's just one example, but my point is doing things like that incentivize on the cosmetic side, where it's not just you thinking about, oh, well, like a skin, but do other things, which again kind of goes into what you were saying on like letting you kind of turn your troops a different color. Like, to me, I really feel like people would be interested in that. I feel like people would buy stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I definitely agree there on that front.
Just side note, fuck you, Tiny. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. No one likes that asshole. This dick. Fucking kick rocks. So, I mean, I don't even know who that guy is, right? He just keeps pinging me on COD Discord. I mean,
what a cheap fuck. $5.
That's
not even $5. It's $5. Come on, Tiny. Don't even do it, bro.
Guys, I mean, literally, bro. I mean, listen, if I wanted Monopoly money, I would just go fucking play with my kids. Jesus. It's so hard to be so serious for that long. On a real note, Tiny, thank you for the dono, bro. I appreciate that.
We'll support BN. We gotta show him some
I
love.
appreciate the love, man. Thank you so much. Dear God, Cap, dear God. And then Cap drops 10 gifted. Jesus. Thank you so much, Cap. I appreciate the love, man.
My
So
pleasure, bro.
let me, okay. So I want to move. I actually, to be fair, I do want to come back eventually, but depending on how much time we have. Uh, Now I kind of want to move a little bit more to the 30 NA situation, because obviously I think it's a big
I'd be
topic.
happy to.
I think a number of people are very interested in it. Now I don't know if there's any screenshots or anything you can show or provide that maybe I could show on screen on stream, but I am, because like I said, this is me, and I preface this as well even earlier in the stream, is that I have seen some screens, but I don't know if I've seen everything, and obviously I would never go into any situation, with whoever I'm talking to first thinking, okay, well, this person's 100% on the right or that other person's 100% on the right. But I absolutely am, at least would like to and am willing to hear how things went down from the wAo perspective, from your perspective, and obviously if there's anything you can show as well to support that. Again, I'd love to hear, because from what I understood, essentially, was that, like, from where at least I was caught up to, was that you guys had pretty much won the season at that point and it was pretty much over. And then obviously we're kind of hearing about all these things that are occurring, and clearly it ends up kind of happening over the age old thing, which is end of season reward distribution. So can you kind of share what was
sure.
the build up, what happened, and then kind of how did it explode, if you will?
Yeah, so I'll give you a quick summary. I think it'll capture most. I'm sure I have stuff. I don't have it like readily accessible. I could get you screenshots, but to me, it wasn't necessarily about the screenshots. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying we did not betray 30 NA. We did. I wholeheartedly agree. Like, it wasn't like I told them, this was coming. But the long of the short was that at the start of the season, Wayne Ghost, whatever the fuck his name is, the R5 of 30 NA, he was adamant about defining season rewards from the onset, which is not necessarily abnormal. I would say a lot of times in KvKs, people want to try to determine, hey, how are we going to determine who gets what? Because again, thank you, developers. You can't just let us all win. We all have to sit here and try to figure it out. And honestly, if you look at all of the betrayals and all the other shit, a lot of it stems from EOS rewards. Like, if you guys could just figure that out, and then they figure it out in one of the SOSs, and then they're like, fuck, we didn't fix any of the prior ones. So you're back into misery as you go in there. Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Really, really do. Anyway, long and the short was we defined all these metrics. Okay. And it was going to be based on merits and deads. Okay, fine. Then they said, WoW's too powerful. You need to give a buff to RFF and 30 NA. Oh, okay, fine. So we gave a percentage buff to those two. So they got a kicker in their merit counts for EOS reward.
So this is kind of like the reverse YSS situation that IMFS basically wanted to, like, or like the YSS wanted, whatever it was, like extra or sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe they debuffed them, I guess.
IMFS 225 did in their KvK one, where they basically said, like, well, look, right, we're gonna, like, I think they said something like, we'll subtract a certain amount of merits based on final zone merits. Like, that's what they said for YSS.
Yeah, so we just gave them a buff. I think we gave like 10 or 12%, I don't remember, to 30 NA and maybe 7% to RFF. So whatever their total merit count, they got 7% of that added on top at the end. So they got a buffer. Okay, fine. And I was like, you know what? They were trying to like 15 and 20. I said, guys, fuck off. Like, this is absurd. I'm like, you're trying to add like 1 billion merits if you got 4. Like, no. And so whatever. We got to a situation, okay, everyone's happy. So based on how many deads you take, and deads were weighted heavier, which I think is important, because Bastion fights, and we knew Milk had 6 shells, we had 5, and we knew we were going to take a lot of deads. I killed 10 million troops last season. 10 million. I've never touched that number in any season. Absurd amount. It's 100 million power I killed in a season. I couldn't even field 5 infantry legions at the end of the season. I could field 2 because I killed everything I had. But so, okay, fine, great. We got this established. Okay. Then, right before Final Zone opened, Wayne, the R5 of 30 NA, was up our asses to get into a VC to discuss the plan. Okay, fine. So we get in maybe a week before. We have a VC. It's myself, my builder, or maybe both of them were there. I don't remember. And RFF is there as well. And we're talking about what do we got to do? How are we going to win Final Zone? And during that meeting, I made it abundantly clear the only way we were going to be able to push Milk back was if RFF and wAo could 2v1 Milk. I told them we couldn't 1v1 Milk. We couldn't handle it. I saw the Zone 2 fight. And honestly, what you have to do to push an alliance like Milk, or even, push us, I mean, you can even, I'm sure Milk would admit, when you push into an alliance of like a high caliber, it hurts. Like, playing defense is great in those situations. Merits are great. And you take massive amounts of deads and sevs because you have to overextend in order to do it. And knowing what Milk was about, how it was going to go, I knew they were going to go absolutely crazy. And I said, guys, look, and now 698 was the kingdom that was weak. Savage left and had his temper tantrum, quit, did everything, whatever. So we knew 698 was in shambles. We knew that they were going to be weaker on the battlefield. So part of the target was, hey, we slow down 698's build. Before they get to the main choke into the dragon, 30 NA has to beat them there. And then 30 NA has to bastion that choke and hold 698 right there. And then start moving to the east to get to help with RAC. And we knew we had to contain Milk in that little bubble, if you will, because wAo was coming down from the north. RFF was coming from the east, and we were going to meet Milk there. And we knew we just needed to contain them on the onset. So, again, you block 698's choke, you block RAC's choke, and then the idea was for us to get wAo down to 698's choke. We were going to put a wAo bastion there, so we weren't going to ask 30NA to hold it the whole time. But I knew if we put a wAo bastion in the 698 choke, there wasn't a chance in fucking hell that they were ever going to break wAo garrisons. And we have dozens of garrisons. We could hold that forever. They're never going to break us. And then we needed 30NA to go focus on RAC on the east choke while RFF and wAo handled Milk 2v1. Okay, fine, got it. Everyone's in agreement. There was some confusion initially. I walked them through it. We drew live maps, BN. I literally took the screen, or Lynx took the screen. We were in Paint, and I'm painting fucking, it's color-coded. I couldn't
Paint
be...
is so efficient.
Dude, we couldn't be more clear on what had to happen. Okay, got it. Then the day before Final Zone, he reaches out again. Hey, we need to meet again. I'm like, for fuck's sake. Okay, got it. We go back into VC. Okay, yes, Wayne. Once again, you got to hold the choke here. You got to move to RAC. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay, fine. So Final Zone comes. Everything's playing out the way that we did it. We stalled 698. 30 NA got to the choke. We got over the initial choke into Milk. We're fighting Milk. RFF had good position. Okay, fine. Like, we're making good progress here. Like, everything... Oh, you have the map up. So, yeah. Everything is happening the way as we expected it. And we knew we needed to hold Milk in that little bubble for 24 hours while we handled the South. Oh, shit. I'm like, this is great. This is going perfect. Milk started making some ground on RFF, but RFF was pushing back. There were some bastions placed. Like, okay, we were in good position. So now, when 30NA gets to the choke of 698, we're like, hey, guys, start moving over to the east to get to RAC. And then they come back and they're like, no, we need to push 698 to the pass. And I'm like, what the fuck did you just say? They're like, no, they need to go back to pass 5. I said, no. Like, we talked about this 400 times. You're not going with 698. But, the theory is they were just enjoying beating the shit out of the T4s and wanted nothing to do with Milk, wanted nothing to do with fighting RAC. And they took it upon themselves to go push down all the way to the Spire. And this entire time in the chat in game, us and RFF are saying, guys, you need to stop. Like, Milk's making too much ground. I'm telling them, I'm like, we are going to lose Final Zone if you guys don't stop pushing 698. They are irrelevant. They literally mean nothing right now. They can't do shit against us. You need to come over here and focus. And then, their claims of this whole like, oh, well, you asked us to hold 698 and fight RAC, which is beyond our capacity. I've seen the Bastion reports. They were doing like absurdly well against 698. There was no reason why it couldn't be done. And again, we offered to hold 698 ourselves, meaning wAo. We were going to go to that choke. We would hold them there. And then as we're, fighting or bickering in the chat, They keep telling us, we're wrong, we're wrong, we're wrong. So then for like 24 hours, these guys go fucking MIA. They just stop fighting and they let 698 break all their towers and build all the way back up to the choke. And I'm like, okay, guys, like now you're trying to make a point back that like, okay, fine.
Into the choke, you mean like the inner, like the
back to the dragon choke. They're all the way back to the dragon choke. Okay. And I'm like, okay, great. So we're trying to fight with 30NA. So this is when the whole reward thing comes up, right? So now we're 2-3 days into final zone. We're at our breaking point. RFF is at their breaking point. RFF did absolutely incredible. I mean, kudos to them. They were wildly impressive in that KvK. Shit, they almost put up 6 billion merits. They're getting double rallied from Milk and whatever. Finally, one night, it's like 5 in the morning on day 3. And again, we've gone 22 hours each day. I wake up in the morning and the bastions broke. I guess one key point that I'm missing is as the dragon opened, right before the dragon opened, we pulled the statistics of how people performed. And in the ranking of how it went, RFF was number 1, wAo was number 2, and 30NA was number 3, based on merits and deads. So in that scenario, you had a choice. RFF chose EOS, and Wayne, the NA guy, proposed, he's like, okay, based on the stats, we think 30NA is going to take first capture and frame, and wAo gets 6 centuries, and RFF gets EOS. And we're like, wait a minute. We were supposed to be able to choose. What the fuck are you talking about? And then I said, no, Wayne, I don't want that. We're going to take first cap and frame. And then, so there was some bickering back and forth. Okay, I said, the stats are the stats. That's what we talked about. They tried to change it a couple times along the way. I'm not trying to make this super long and drawn out. But then at the end, in the final moment, so I wake up in the morning. It's like 7 a.m. Mind you, I just got off at like 5 in the morning. The bastion is burned. My territory's gone. My city's been fucking rallied. And RFF has lost their bastion. And I have now come to the conclusion, I'm like, holy shit, we just lost the final zone. And 30NA still is nowhere to be fucking found. They're still fighting 698 in the choke. And again, we have asked 400 times for them to please come over and help. And when they say they helped, they sent like 6 fucking people and like 15 legions. I needed 50, 60, 70 people constantly sending marches over and over and over to help support and supply pressure. So at that moment, RFF is pleading with 30NA because we're about to lose the season. We were literally on the brink of losing. We're begging them to do it. So RFF offers EOS to them to try to get them incentivized, and they're like, okay, we're going to ping Discord. We're going to come help. And we're like, finally, Jesus. RFF messages me and says, we're going to go for one last Hail Mary play. They were going to make a play on the east side of the dragon, coming over from a completely different fighting point. They were going to Bastion and Fog, and they wanted us to push from the left side and basically try to 2v1 Milk in that instance. And we were going to break their 2 towers because we could reach their fort right thereafter. And RFF was going to, again, Hail Mary. They had 2 Fogs and a Bastion. Long of the short, it fucking worked. And RFF was able to get the Bastion down. They started hitting their fort. We made progress. We broke their 2 towers. We had their fort wrapped. RAC kept marching up and trying to help. And all of a sudden, the complete momentum switched of the KvK. Milk was full sending everything they possibly could. Again, everybody was down bad, from troops, from Sev woundeds. Like, everyone was hurting. Both sides were on the point of collapse or I guess, like, quitting. And we finally broke Milk. And when we broke the 2 forts, it was like, holy shit, we finally did it. 30NA never came. They never fucking showed up. They did nothing. Milk and RAC fought wAo and RFF for the 97th time, and they still brought literally no field presence and continued to play, fucking whack-a-mole in the choke against 698. And it was so frustrating. So we get to the end of this. I'm super pissed off at 30NA. My members are going ape shit about 30NA. All this stuff's going on. We start conversations after we push Milk all the way back to the Spire. Everything's good. Yeah, we start conversations internally in the chat with 30NA, and we're like, hey guys, basically, like, we think this is bullshit. And you've seen screenshots, you've seen it. Like, RFF deserves a dragon. You guys didn't fucking come. They offered it to you in a desperation attempt to get you guys to actually fucking do something, and you still didn't do it. And like, do what's right, give it back to RFF. And 30NA's position was, well, you offered it to us, it's ours. And again, I'm dealing with a lot of internal shit in wAo because they're all pissed off because, again, 30NA is non-existent. And 30NA kept hanging their hat on, we won our 1v1. And what we kept telling them is that a KvK is not won in a bunch of 1v1s. It's your ability to collaborate, work together to ultimately push the enemy out. And all they did was focus on their 1v1. And again, they think they've done some great fucking thing. And if you look at their stats from the KvK, it's borderline pathetic on what they put up in merits and deaths. Like, comparatively speaking, it's not even close to what we did. So a couple days after we settled in the final zone, RFF reached out to me and they said, hey, we don't think 30NA should get EOS. And RFF, we want to take it. Would you support cutting 30NA? And I think I took about 7 seconds and I said, abso-fucking-lutely, tell me when I'm pushing these guys out. And I've never done it. I hate it. I understand it. But there comes a point where you have to take the result into your own hands because leadership over there is so delusional to their performance. And they could have done the right thing. They could have said, you're right. You know, we didn't do our shit. You know, fine, we'll do it. But this whole stance that we communicated to our members that we get EOS was just, again, absolutely absurd. And there was no way I was going to let that RFF performance be taken away by a kingdom that didn't do shit in the final zone to really help us win. So yeah, I made the decision to fucking cut them. And then the other thing was about burning the players. You know, hindsight, yeah, probably shouldn't have burned the players. It's probably not their fault. I shouldn't have necessarily rallied everyone that we did. But you know what? Like I said, in that moment, I was like, fuck it, burn them all, burn them to the ground, take everything you can. I'm so aggravated. I'm so pissed off, and go have fun. So I told him to do it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I will say this. I do have a couple questions. However, I will say, man, I always do find it to be respectable, and anyone that I think has the ability to show any level of self-awareness, and it doesn't just come off as some kind of, ignorant asshole preach on, oh yeah, I mean, I'm like the tits McGee over here, and everything I touch just turns into liquid gold, and I can do no wrong. I always will at least nod my hat in that regard. So I guess I'm curious on, was there an option to not push them out and kind of leave them where they are, and then you guys just kind of, either attempt to continue the conversation and try and make a case, or just kind of take what you guys want and kind of give them, their thirds, if you will? Or was it more of, okay, well, there's a little bit of fear on if they're actually going to allow that, or they try to interrupt? And so was that kind of more of the line of thinking, was just kind of having it be a little bit more of kind of like a proactive defensive play to just kind of cut them off, so that way you just don't have to worry about that happening?
No, I guess first off, we knew 30NA couldn't do shit to us. Like, they weren't going to be able, we had pushed milk so far back. I guess one of the concerns early when I thought about it was like, if we do it too early or whatever, yeah, I mean, we're going to get 4v2'd and we probably lose control. So, I mean, we definitely timed it. And, this whole nonsense that Hulks then keeps talking about, like, we scheduled it in their fucking downtime. It's like, no, you moron. If you look, the Dragon opened 2 hours for the last time before summary, right as when we attacked you. It takes like 3 hours to break a fort. So our goal was to break it right as the Dragon opened, and then we knew we had 4 hours to hold it before it locked again and nobody could do anything. Like, at that point, the rewards are determined.
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with scheduling their downtime. They could have been in their fucking peak uptime. They wouldn't have done a damn thing about it. There was no way. But the point was that at that point, when we determined we were going to do it, we scheduled it again when the Dragon was opening and when we knew they couldn't get it back. So no. And from my opinion, we talked to them for 2 or 3 days. All my leadership members, I know the screenshots floated around. We all shared our opinions. So did RFF. And nobody with any sorts of logic was coming to the table. The only thing we kept hearing was, we won our 698. We changed the scope of the KvK, which, again, I give them credit. They beat up 698. They obviously caused drama over there. I'm not saying they didn't contribute. They did. But when it was in the toughest fight possible, they ignored the main fight that actually won the KvK. Truth be told, you could have taken 30NA out of the final zone, we could have been in that situation. Again, we put that bastion on 698. Shit, we could have went and pushed 698 after the fact. I firmly believe that. But they just wouldn't come to any other conclusion than you offered it, we took it, and that's it. And it wasn't black and white like that.
So based on that, you feel that, and I guess in this case as well, it would also be the opinion of RFF that based on the final zone, you both feel that 30 NA had the capacity to basically tackle both fronts, even if it wasn't committing 100% to the milk side, but at least being able to contribute something on the milk front while holding down 698.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, it was only temporarily. We offered to go hold the 698 choke. We told them to fort in the middle so we could build a shell through. We had the shell there. We built it down intentionally to go bastion that choke. Because again, in our opinion, 698 didn't stand a chance to burn a WoW bastion. Even if they did, we could have repaired it and it would have been fine. So it was a temporary hold and then field troops to RAC, not even milk. I didn't want them to touch milk because I think they would have evaporated against milk. I wanted them to be able to help support the RAC choke and then allow us and RFF to 2v1 milk.
Let me ask you, so was 30 NA's response to that them saying that, well, 698 is just pressuring us so much, there's so much activity that we have to meet them one for one, that there's just absolutely no way that we could ever assist, even if it was even sending 5-10 players over? Like, was that their response? Was that kind of directly asked to them and that is how they responded? Did they respond differently?
They basically said, like, you're not giving them enough credit. Like, if we don't push them to the pass, that's going to be the biggest problem. And everyone on our side, firmly disagreed with that. And they were just, again, in my opinion, I don't have proof of this, they just enjoyed fighting on the smaller kingdom. When I say smaller, they keep saying they were 5 billion more. Cool. They had like 200 plus members, but half of their alliance is T4. And any person out there knows fighting those alliances is a lot of fun. You go out there, you send one tank into their DPS, and you come home with a 60, 70K merit report. It's a lot of fun. I get it. But the truth was, they were never a real threat in the final zone. They just weren't. And they wouldn't listen.
Well, I mean, even looking at some of the numbers, I mean, their average player power for CH25 accounts and WO was about 94 mil, and 30 NA was about 133 mil. So you're talking, you've got about a plus 40 mil, 39 mil average player advantage on the average NWO player, at least in that 30 NA to NWO matchup. And I imagine 30 NA probably has more max decos than NWO does. I mean, even if I'm just taking like a soft guess.
Right. You had the lights. You had Southern Light and Northern Light account there. Those things are crazy.
Yeah.
They're 500 mil accounts. Jesus Christ. They could hold a bastion alone against those people.
And I mean, even if we're looking at like the breakdown, I'm showing this as well. And I mean, we talked about this too, even just looking at like, their 100 mil caps. I mean, 30 NA, 29 players at 125 mil. It's now 53 to 32. So you got like a plus 21 on them. If you look at 150 mil, it's 32 to 18. It's almost double. You look at 200 mil, you got times 4 almost. 250 mil, it's a 4 to 1. At 300 mil, it's 5 to 0. And even if you look at like just merits from last season, which again, you can argue that or not because 30 NA was in G2 and NWO wasn't. But even just looking at that, you have a lot more players at 20 mil plus merits that produced more in 30 than they did in 698, where you start getting into like 2, 3, 4 times the amount once you get to like 30 mil plus. So, I mean, again, the data doesn't lie in that regard. And I think, it at least makes it seem, to your point, again, based on, and, I'm planning to talk to Wayne on Friday in kind of an offline conversation. And, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he's going to say, and obviously anyone else, because I do plan to reach out to some of the other leads too as well. But at least based on the numbers and based on what you're saying, it appears to align, at least in that regard of saying like, well, look, maybe they were, or maybe not that they were, but that they should have been able to. I'll say that based on how that looks, is that it at least looks like they should have been able to redirect some people to go and assist in that case. Again, based on what you're saying and based on the data and the numbers that I'm looking at, I mean, at least it would appear that way. So,
yeah, they kept harping on the fact of what the power was of 698, like the alliance power, and like trying to claim that they were like the underdogs in that, which again, there's stuff to be said about 30NA's history and how they perform and what they do in KvKs, and they're just not highly regarded as being like, you know, a degen kingdom or anything like that. And like, again, we were trying to play to, I guess, their strength to some degree, but it was just like, we need you to hold this for a minute, hide, you know, slide down there, because we knew we needed to get a little bit of breathing room from RAC and 698 in order to be able to do the milk push that needed to happen. But the truth of the matter is they just wanted to sit there and claim that they kept winning their 1v1 against 698, and that was enough justification in their head because RFF made an offer and they said, well, look, we beat up 698, so we get Dragon. And it wasn't that simple. And unfortunately, they wouldn't have any sort of reasonable talk about it. They just kept claiming, like, you offered it, we took it. And you know, so then I shall giveth, I shall taketh away. And that's what we did. Took it, that fucking Dragon, away.
yeah. It almost to me sounds a little bit more, at least from y'all's perspective, and I get it. You know, it's, you know, if they, you know, from their end, and you know, it's not uncommon to have some kingdoms want to try and kind of figure things out sooner rather than later. And you know, obviously, with, you know, again, you were pretty clear on that with, yeah, like this was the agreement, it was offered to them, we understand that. I guess to me, it almost feels, and I think this is kind of one of those intangibles that, you know, some people may not kind of take, because it's kind of like I don't know, maybe a double-edged sword isn't the right way to put it, but you know, it's almost kind of like when you see situations of people that already know that they're going to win something, and the potential level of effort that they put in can sometimes decrease, or they might not be as engaged or as involved because they just kind of already know, like, well, hey, I'm going to place here, or like I already know the rewards that I'm going to get, why do I need to kind of do anything extra, if you will. And part of me almost feels, again, based on what I'm kind of summarizing from your perspective, is that it almost feels either a little bit like that, or to the extent of that, you know, our expectation was that everyone would participate to their fullest extent, and you know, in being able to secure this win for our team. And that's kind of all we were asking for. And the fact that it feels like, at least not only from you, but it seems like from RFF as well, that the two of you don't feel that that was necessarily the case, at least as it pertained to the final zone, and that weighted in to your, or I should say both of your decisions to kind of cut them off in that regard, where it's like, look, man, we just want everyone to have 100% participation. I mean, hell, you know, I guess based on what you're saying, it doesn't seem as though you were saying like, hey, man, send us 100 people to the front, but at least send us more than 0.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, too, if you look at the world chat, when you've got the enemy, and it was like RAC and Milk in world chat, like sitting there supporting the fact that we cut 30NA and saying, like, you got what you deserved. Like, you didn't, I mean, literally every other kingdom in that KvK was like, 30NA, you do not deserve EOS. RFF deserves EOS. Literally everyone supported it.
Yeah.
The only ones obviously being vocal against it was 30NA members, and they're all mad, which I get it. I understand they're mad, but I mean, that's the alliance they chose to be in, and their leadership made decisions, and so did we, and that's it. And
you know what I'd be curious on would be to go and ask Slef from NWO and ask him and say, you know, how hard, like how active was it? Was it like constantly active with 30NA? Do you feel like there were times where they could have been more active? Do you feel like there were times where they could have probably sent troops somewhere else because it wasn't constant? Do you feel like you guys absolutely drained them and commanded their attention where they couldn't have done? I mean, I feel like that would probably be an easy conversation to kind of get an easy answer from. And I'd have to imagine that they're communicating like you all would be on kind of the status updates of each battlefront. So in this case, you know, I would imagine Milk and RAC would probably at least be privy to the updates that NWO is giving them based on that battle, and probably from whatever else they're able to see from their own eyes as well while the KvK is going on. So I guess that's why I say that, because at least for me, I like to try and kind of get as much of the full story as I can. So, I think that could actually be an interesting kind of avenue to go down, just to kind of see what they say, and whether that's corroborated or not. But I think that would at least give kind of a clearer, or I should say an additional picture, a clear picture, and kind of how that played out, at least from their positions as well.
Yeah. I don't know how he would respond. I just know that if anyone with a brain watched that KvK, they would know that RFF deserved that EOS Dragon. It's just that simple.
Yeah. And I mean, even for me looking at that with, what is it, RFF, so 283.92, I mean, based on that, I mean, yeah, you guys pretty much had about the same merits in FZ. You guys they had a little bit more deaths, they had a little bit more healing, they did about double your gathering, but I mean, it's all...
That was the other stat that was really funny, like the amount that they gathered in the KvK. Everyone was kind of trolling them about that because,
like the 95 bill in Final Zone, and it's like,
and I was like, how the fuck did you have time to do?
Yeah.
I just sent you the screenshot that was used internally when we were talking about, merits and deads for the statistics. That was the chart. I sent it to you in Discord. That was the chart that we used at the time. This was prior to the actual milk push, but
I can show
that was kind of like what the boards were at when we did the data poll, right as Dragon was opening. So Final Zone, the fight was still very much ongoing, but that's kind of where everybody was at. And I mean, again, if you just look overall, I mean, it wasn't even close. And when you look at like kill points based on the, I guess like the type of troop you're fighting, it's clear as fucking day.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So this is just kind of leading up to FZ opening, and
well, this is after, this is right before Dragon opened. So you're, whatever, 2 days
gotcha.
Final Zone, or 3 days, something like that. But I mean, you look at the deads and the heals and how much we're putting in from an effort perspective. And again, when I tell you, when you fight T4s and the merits are easier, I mean, they just are. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think even on the COD tools, though, like it even shows the healing from them. And I guess to me, if I'm interpreting that, and maybe I should start out by asking the question too as well. When I look at something like this for Final Zone healing, and I look at the fact that they have almost about half, a little more than half of what 698 has, but then, and granted, again, they are a little bit weaker based on power, but not significantly enough. I think that would warrant, when you then look at kind of the next tier of healing, which is at 1.4 bill with 266, and then goes to 1.6, 1.7, 1.9 respectively, you're looking at 372, and that's about what, about a quarter, somewhere between a quarter and a fifth.
Yes, it's
where 30 is,
it's significantly less.
Yeah. And I guess my thought process here is that if you're fighting a lot and there's constant fighting, you would usually be healing more, is I guess kind of general rule of thumb that at least I would think. And so,
or how the fuck are you gathering 100 bill res in Final Zone? How?
Yeah. And then I guess the additional question there I would maybe have is, like, if you're gathering so much, couldn't that also be used to doing more healing, which would almost indicate that, and I mean, granted, they did have more merits in the Final Zone than 698, and it's not as though their merits were incredibly far off from 266, who was at 2.2 and they're at 1.6 bill. But you'd imagine it's like, okay, if the numbers there are kind of leading into having a little bit more of, maybe I should say, freedom or flexibility or capacity, maybe better, which kind of, I guess, from what your perspective was saying on, like, hey, why couldn't they help us out? I guess if I look at these numbers, to me, it almost feels like that at least kind of adds into that POV narrative from your guys' side.
It supports everything I'm saying, is what I think you're trying to say. Yes.
Well, again, that's what I'm objectively surmising. Obviously, again, like I said, I want to be someone who hears it out from everyone, but to me, at least that's what the numbers would appear to indicate, that there seemingly is a capacity to do more than you just fighting the one-on-one in 698.
The data
but
Very
again,
clear.
like I said, I don't know all the nitty gritty and everything. I'm just looking at it and how I would interpret that objectively if I'm looking at that from a numbers perspective.
Yeah, we took 4 times the deads, 4 times the amount of healing we had to do. We didn't gather absolutely anything, and the merits are, you know, what, 700 to 1 billion more on your allies versus what you did. It's as clear as fucking day. If you're gathering that much, that means the legions aren't on the field fighting. It's just that simple. This chart that you're showing, BN, shows me why they don't have a dragon.
Well,
it's just that simple.
Interesting.
I'm not a participation trophy kind of guy. You got to fucking earn it. You didn't earn it, you don't get it.
No. Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing I'll say on that front is, you know, which I guess is just, you know, I guess fair for both sides. I'll say that, you know, and like I said, I'd have to see what was written, you know, from any of the screenshots, any kind of agreements or whatnot. But, you know, I always find, and I typically will say this for any of the KvKs universally, is I always like to be just a very big proponent of just, you know, being very clear and transparent in everyone's communication and saying like, look, man, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to play. Because I've seen some KvKs where they'll do stuff like what you're saying, which is like, hey, man, let's try and kind of figure everything out as early as we can. Let's just kind of get some kind of distribution metric or calculator or calculation system in place. Other people will say, well, you know what, let's wait until we see how the zone 2, how the zone 3s play out. Let's kind of figure that out maybe right before final zone opens, even if you just want to kind of throw around some stuff, but not kind of lock anything in on how we're going to go about doing it. And I mean, you know, some people seem to have some levels of success doing it one way or the other. However, I guess the thing I'll say on that is, for me, I very much just feel like, and again, it was something that you had stated earlier. And again, I know I've said this along with many other people that have said this as well. So this isn't necessarily limited just to me, but I think when it comes to rewards overall, I think something that developers can do to basically create situations that avoid these results is just basically giving it to where, you know, everyone gets the same rewards or the creme de la creme awards. And then you could still have extra stuff, like if you want to do extra things on top of that. But I think at least kind of having some level of like core rewards that you can get when it comes to kind of end of season, and having those be a little bit more aligned with who's on your team. Or even if you just want to say like, look, man, you're just going to have 2 team awards. You're either going to get the tier 1 team rewards or the tier 2 team awards based on if you win or lose. And then you just have a bunch of individual reward accolades that aren't kind of tied to the team as a whole. I mean, there just has to be a better way.
They have it. They did it. Yeah. They did warband EOS. I mean, I think it's whatever SOS 5, but
I mean,
they never went
every
back.
KvK.
Yeah, that's the point. They never went back and adjusted the other SOSs.
Yeah. No,
which just makes no fucking sense.
Yeah. And my thing is like, look, man, you can still have the best of both worlds. You know, you have your warband EOS rewards or just your team EOS rewards, and then you still give everyone the acknowledgement and the individual accolades, and you're just kind of getting the best of both worlds, and you just do that every KvK. That way you, for the most part, at least massively mitigate any of the betrayals that could potentially happen. You know, and if you eventually want to do something more than that over time, well, I mean, simple, ask for feedback from the kings and queens of the teams. You know, if they really want to kind of do more things, it's just, I just don't think it's necessarily. The thing I'll say is I just don't think it's like that healthy for the game overall, because I think like when you have these situations where you end up creating more of these betrayal moments, or the environment you have set is conducive to having the potential of betrayals happening. And we've seen how many, I mean, this season has been crazy. Like this season has probably had, I would argue, either the most or the second most amount of like top KvK group drama and betrayals and just situations that have played out of probably all the seasons that I've covered. Like it's been a lot. And well, yeah. And I was just going to say, you have this happening, and I just have to imagine that like the solutions to these things are not rocket science, and they're pretty straightforward. And I just feel like, man, it's just, I don't know if it's just kind of, slow maybe from the dev perspective on getting these things in, or maybe they just don't think it's that bad, or maybe they want the chaos. It's just, part of me just feels like there has to be better ways to do it, because the ripple effects from these things then will go on the next season. And you've seen this where it's like, well, now I'm going to use these people as my global allies, or these people are going to be my global enemies. And it can really ruin KvK Diplos. And we've seen these things happen before in the past. And it just makes like a KvK 1 to KvK 2 at times just unplayable. And it's just incredibly disappointing. And I just don't know how much of that is really factored in from the dev perspective. So
yeah, and they give you like, they want you to have these accolades like on your alliance page, and now they're tracking all your KvK wins and losses. And you know, for last KvK, Kingdom 92 has a loss. You know, in the records and the accolades, you don't get your little star on the alliance page. You don't do it because if you don't hold Dragon at EOS, you lost the season. So it's like all those things too that add up, where people are fighting for that. They want to have good track records. And again, you know, for last season, the only person that gets a win is RFF, you know, and in theory, it shouldn't have been like that. It should have been wAo, RFF, and 30NA got a win, because we did.
No, absolutely. Anyway, I've thought that was like incredibly silly, in my opinion, on the fact that like that just wasn't something that was being tracked and calculated and factored in, you know, when they started realizing. And that's the thing for me. It's like not even starting to realize, like, dude, like you. And listen, man, I don't I don't think this is a hot take, excuse me, by any means. But what I will say is, what I find just weird is that you have this other game in Rise of Kingdoms that has already been out for years, multiple years before Call of Dragons came out. And like, you can't, part of me just feels like you can't sit there and tell me that you did not know that this was going to be a thing, that this was just not a thing at all, where you could have potentially addressed this like post beta, like post global release shortly after, to just kind of work this in to try and avoid these things. Like there's no way you can sit there and tell me, this is what I'm thinking. It's like, there's no way that they could be that oblivious. Like they could be that disconnected. Like that's what I'm like, there's just no way, because you have all this data. You have all of this historical referencing from another game. And it's like, why are we not kind of looking at that holistically and saying like, yeah, this would be good to like solve these challenges that we saw happened in this other kingdom builder. And there's just such a close similarity in how things are being done in this other kingdom builder that we have. Again, I don't think that's a hot take. To me, that just feels like common sense.
I would agree. And the amount of time it's gone on without a fix is, I think, what leads us to believe that.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know why, to your point, it's not rocket science, guys. Just make it simple.
No. I mean, I think it absolutely makes us wonder. It just yeah, it peaks.
That's why I said what I said in King's chat. Like, guys, go do this yourselves. Go experience it and let me know if you think this makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm one of the last things I want to touch on here. Again, I know I've already had you for a while, and I absolutely appreciate the time, Cap. One of the things I do want to ask is kind of just taking us for a moment back to the kind of management side of things, and a little bit of what you talked about in Hall of Kings. I'm curious, can you walk me through just like a day in the life of, on an average day? Doesn't necessarily have to be a KvK day, but I'm happy to compare kind of an average day versus like a peak day for you. Walk me through how your day starts. What are you doing first? What do you do second? What do you do third? Whether that's before you even touch the game, if you're touching the game in between, all the way until you get off. Like, what does a normal day look? Give it to me on an average day, and then give it to me on like a peak day.
Yeah, I think an average day, I'm usually checking Discord first and foremost, because that's kind of like the primary form of communication, especially for stuff that's, you know, urgent or something that needs to be addressed quickly. So I feel like I'm in there, and then I'm immediately into the game after that.
Oh, and also assign me like a time value. Like while you're telling me kind of what you're doing step by step throughout the day, about how much time is it taking you on average to kind of do these things as well? Just like think, because I'd love to at least have some kind of value association with that for people that are listening.
I think it's a minimum of 30 minutes. And then I'm talking about like as soon as you wake up, like it's usually at least 30 minutes of going through all the discords, the chats, the pings, the this, the that, what's going on, and then the various chats that are going to go in. But it's usually a minimum of 30 minutes.
And you mean
then
just reading, not necessarily replying and responding?
No, I think that's with replying and responding.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about 30 minutes. Getting into that. And then usually again within the next, then I'm usually, waking up, coffee, shower, etc. And then I'm usually back in because something else goes on, especially in like KvK. I mean, as crazy as this sounds, I mean, I've had to have like the phone with me in the shower because I don't know when they're going to push and if I got to change a garrison, but I have to get ready because I have to go into this. I mean, again, I know that sounds ridiculous, but that literally happens. And I'm like, because it's on like peak moment in the KvK, and like I can't miss it. But I also have to be on a call at 9:30 a.m. and I have to shower and I have to get on video or whatever the case may be. And like you're going to do that, but somewhere right after that, I'm still back in the game, keeping it on. And I would say that throughout the day, even as you're working, like and I work from home when I'm not traveling, like my iPad's up 24/7. It's sitting there on the side, and I'm just letting it be there, whether it's again pings or things that are happening because I have to see what's going on, other than being like in a full blown video call and you're doing something and you can't really pay attention. But I mean, I'd argue, and in a normal KvK, I am involved in the game every hour of the entire day, outside again of those moments where whatever you go have dinner, or you do something like that, but I'm monitoring it literally all day long. It's constant. Go to, you go leaving for soccer. I'm checking the game before I leave. I get in the car, I drive to soccer. As soon as I get to soccer, before I get out of the car, I check Discord. I look at the game. I'm like, okay, everything's fine, great. Then I go in. And then when you talk about like time and stuff, it's also throughout the day, like delegation that it's occurring. Like I'm going to our R4s and I'm saying, hey, I need you to go do this. I need you to go do that. And then following up in Discord, hey, did that get done? Did you drop the tower here? Or going to the builder, hey, go take that shell and plant the towers there, or whatever. And then again, you're following again, it's like running a business. Then I'm following up on that. And then at the end of the night, and then by the way, then you're fighting all fucking day long. Like your troops are out there, you're yeeting, you're doing everything I do. And then at the end of the night, right before you go to bed, I'm checking all the bastions, I'm checking the garrisons, I'm telling this person to go here, this person to go there. Again, putting any plans as I usually hand it off to our Korean group or the Asian group, the EU side of the coin when I'm going to sleep, and that's at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and just saying like, hey, in the next 4 hours, could you please not do these 3 things? Like, don't lose this section of territory, keep the priority here, and then you're in the R4s are, and this isn't just me, just to be clear, like R4s are helping, but I mean, from my sake and my seat, I have to make sure that they're all doing what they're supposed to do, including like markers and other shit, to make sure that we're going to protect the territory. But I'd say on average in a KvK, I will spend. I average sleep maybe 3 hours, and that may be high in some KvKs, like in peak fights. And I would say I'm in the game for 18 to 20 hours on those days.
Jeez.
I see your face. I'm not kidding. I am on.
Oh no.
It is an absurd amount of time.
No, I believe it. I believe it. You do not have to sell me on it. But I think it's good for people to hear, because these kinds of conversations and these kinds of answers that you're giving and we're having are not your just kind of normal, typical talk that I think the average player really hears. And I think it is good for people to understand how much time really goes in. What would you say is the one like most unforeseen thing that an average player probably has no idea that this thing is taking up so much of your time that they just have no idea about? Now, I'll tell you what mine was when I was, and I'm curious if yours would be the same or different. When I was in R5 and then also in R6 for my time in Rock and Infinity Kingdom, when I was doing kind of jump kingdom projects, the number one thing for me that was one of the biggest time drainers that I viewed as kind of an unforeseen thing that I later realized like it's just kind of a normal thing of it. But for me, my number one thing that took the most amount of time for me throughout the day is just all the effing DMs, just all the messages from people internally within the kingdom, externally that are outside of the kingdom that would just come to you because they just kind of view you as the main POC. And not even that, the internal stuff could be broken up from management, it could be broken up from questions, it could be complaints, it could be issues, it could be like HR related stuff. I mean, just fucking take your pick. And then on the external side, it could be people that maybe want to talk about teaming up. Maybe it's people that are trying to work with you for an upcoming KvK. Maybe it's recruits. Maybe it's a small group. Maybe it's a solo player. Maybe it's a big group. Hey, do you have space for us? Hey, can we get a shell? Etc. But it's just all the unforeseen questions that you get, even just from players. Like it could even be players that are internally within your kingdom that maybe have like a small alliance, but they're not affiliated with you, but they want you to support them in some capacity. Now, oftentimes we usually see this more in like a season one, not necessarily in kind of an established home kingdom, but sometimes you will, or you'll just get players that are active in your kingdom and you'll get messages to them asking like, hey, can we get some support in some way, even if they're not directly like affiliated with you or a part of like your main show. I mean, it's just anything and everything you can think of. So for me, that's what it was. It was just the internal external bombardment of messages and DMs on a daily basis that for me at least I felt like soaked up the most amount of my time from a management perspective. I'm curious what yours is, like what you think is like the most unforeseen thing that an average player just wouldn't know, or they have no idea that it takes that much time to do.
Yeah, I mean, from a personal side, I think I would agree with you that the overwhelming amount of communication that comes to you, and to your point, and I don't mean this to sound arrogant, but like a lot of people contact me, and that whether it's a fucking give me that report, can I see your pet? What's your talent tree with this or whatever? You know what I mean? So like it's just not even like, and yes, recruitment messages and all that other stuff, but I think what I don't think the normal player who's not in leadership doesn't understand
or
is
even
the
the
amount
dev,
of
whether it's the average player or
yeah,
the
yeah,
devs.
yeah, yeah. 100%. They don't understand the time and energy and effort it takes to actually prepare the kingdom for KvK. That's inclusive of the shells, getting the farm shell over here to again, to destroy, to learn, to gain alliance points so that you can fucking build towers in 5 different shells, and just the overall kingdom management that goes into preparing for KvK, and how much time, energy, and effort myself, and again, I'm blessed with the leadership team that I had, is the amount of energy that they put into that, from the Excel docs, the fucking migration, the data, the Power BI reporting, like all the stuff that goes in that these guys just take for granted that they show up in Discord. And then what infuriates me the most is then when somebody sends a DM and then complains about something, and it's something so fucking minor in the grand scheme of things. And I usually publicly will fucking eviscerate that person because it's so infuriating. But they're like, you didn't ping about like we didn't ping that we took a pass in one of the shells, so they missed out on one free teleport. And I'm like, go fuck yourself. Like if you had any, I could give a fuck if you got your free teleport. I need to take that pass because you're looking at a free teleport and 100 gems. I'm looking at it as, oh shit, that shell's behind, and I'm not gonna have that bastion in 9 hours to fight on the front line. And you're sitting here talking to me about a fucking teleport. Like go somewhere else. I don't want to hear it. Like, so those are the things where I get like infuriated in KvKs when they shit like that happens. But I agree with you, it's communication, and I don't think people understand what it takes to truly prep a kingdom to get into a KvK1, KvK2 fight.
Oh, that's good. And I like that. Actually, I think that's a great answer. And I always find it very, for me at least, educational, when I get a chance to kind of talk to other people that are, doing and have been in similar positions to myself and vice versa, because I love being able to hear, what someone is going through now, or even if, what they've gone through differently, and, what kind of sticks out as an identifier to you may not necessarily be what sticks out as kind of this time waster, or just a huge time investment, I should say more appropriately, of an area that maybe they have to deal with more. And part of me feels like these can also kind of be good growing opportunities of, especially collabing with other RFIs. Like that's one of the things I wish that we kind of did a little bit more often, is I mean, I've done a couple of these interviews with people where, we've really kind of got into the nitty gritty on like how management is done and, how kind of they set up their departments, how do people delegate differently, how much workload is one R5 taking on versus another, and kind of talking about those differences. And I mean, I think there's a lot of great learning potential there where people can just try to unburden themselves, especially as an R5, or even if you're a co R5, where you can just save yourself even the littlest bit of your sanity, just kind of over
Yeah,
and
and
over.
again, I don't want to discredit because
Yeah.
my leadership team literally did everything. They really did. But like, you can't change. We were talking about those KvKs and what. By the way, like I'm in Discord for 20 fucking hours.
Yeah.
And I'm war leading, and I'm also trying to make it fun, and I'm bantering, and it's not just like move here, move there, whatever. I'm like I in the last KvK I was I don't know why I did this, but it was funny. I was like, all right, we need to warm up, and I would make everyone attack a Darkling at the same time, and I'm like, oh well, your form was kind of shit, like you try to make it fun,
Yeah.
and keep people laughing, and I got. We got one of the R4s, Harley's over there, and I'm like, where's the fucking music? Like, it's time for a new playlist, and, change it to this. And, like, you're trying to make it fun.
Yeah.
And that's why you can sustain 60, 70, 100 people, 100 plus people in Discord for long periods of time. I think that the tracker that we had in Final Zone, we hit almost 100 hours straight of Discord activity.
Jeez.
Like, it never stopped. But you do that because I firmly believe you need a personality when war leading. You can't just be like, whoa, 1, 2, 3, push,
Yeah.
blink, You do that, but you need to have some fun while you're doing it. And honestly, they've been some of the most fun times too. I don't want to discredit that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I can understand that. It's like having, kind of an animated teacher versus like a textbook reading teacher, so to speak, in kind of a simple comparison that just, having someone in that position that can really kind of light the fire. And, whether it's bringing humor or if it's bringing their passion to it, if it's telling some jokes here and there, kind of trying to lighten things up. So
sometimes I war lead in a British accent, and you do some shit just to have some fun.
Good. I love it. Well, look, man, I know it's getting pretty late for me, at least. It's almost 1 a.m. But what I'd like to do real quick is that if anybody has any questions for Kat, please go ahead and throw those in chat. I appreciate those of you as well that have been rocking with us we've been going about 3.5 hours now. And this has been absolutely awesome. I did write down or save one question, but for anyone that does have a question for Cap, if you'd like to ask, please go ahead and type that in. I did save one question, like I said from before. Someone had asked, Cap, how did you guys come up with going to 509 versus anywhere else? And I'll add on to that by also asking, was 509 the only serious kingdom that was being considered, or were there others?
I'd say that the priority for me was trying to have a soft landing for as many people as I possibly could, keeping together as many of the people as I possibly could. Tiny approached me because he had, he had heard that we were discussing it, talking about it, and he had offered, a fair, like, at the time I think he was offering about like 8-9 billion of space, and it was probably going to be about 50 people. And I wasn't really looking for like a merge type thing. I guess you could argue it could be portrayed like that, but it wasn't a merge. It was more like Tiny offered us a home that I could bring as many people, a lot of people. Obviously, I can't bring the entire kingdom, and we weren't able to bring everybody with us. But he offered, again, that space that allowed me to do. That was one of my biggest concerns. When you're disbanding, you're leaving our. I don't want to leave people stranded. They've done so much good work for me and been so loyal to me, and I wanted to try to find the best way I could do this. And no, I didn't. I mean, yeah, there were other people hitting us up and doing it, but it was in much smaller, groups or whatever. So. And honestly, I've always liked Tiny since I've worked with him in a couple of KvKs. Our leadership teams always meshed well. He didn't have some bravado about him that was going to be concerning. He was always receptive to feedback, and him and I worked incredibly well together in the season. So for me, going into leaving WoW, going into another alliance, and no, I didn't want a leadership position. I told him, God, no, I want to be the best R1 you've ever had and just stay out of the way. But at the same time, like I also know that he respects my gameplay and what I've done too. So like in the event I did see something or whatever, and I messaged him, he would always take it seriously. He'd always support it. And even things where I was like, hey, we've spent the last 6 months prepping super hard for Row League. Like our team was by far a top 3 team. Like we're ready to compete. You know, would you be willing to offer us to run our own row team there? Like I know that I don't want to be like rude, but like our team is, you know, we have been training, we've been practicing, like we're ready to go, and he did it. So when that was there, I didn't even really look further. I said, look, this is it. This makes sense. Like I said, I have my core inner group of 5-6 people. I proposed the idea to them. You know, I would say for the most part, you know, outside of a couple of concerns that we worked through, everybody was on board. So it just was the right fit and it made sense. So that's what we did.
Awesome. Well, no, man, thank you for that explanation. So outside of that, though, I mean, were there any? So, based on what you're saying, then it seems as though 509 was kind of your first thought, and the fact that it just ended up, or at least your first slash maybe kind of priority choice, and the fact that it just worked out, there really wasn't a need to kind of go anywhere else or even consider anything else.
Yeah, I don't want to take credit like it was my idea. It's definitely one of my inner circle persons recommended it, and then
Okay.
Tiny certainly reached out and we started talking about it, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, this kind of makes sense. So yeah, at that point I kind of had drawn the conclusion. Then we got into Final Zone, or right before Final Zone. I can't remember when I decided it, but I was like, hey guys, I think this makes the most sense. Like we're gonna do this, and I think again, all the stars aligned here. This makes sense, and let's go. And I got that support, and obviously myself and others got recruited by, you know, almost every fucking kingdom in the game. But I was like, you know, no thanks. Like we're good. We got our home. We're going with Tiny and Q, and we're heading over to I.
Cool. Awesome. Well, no, man, I love it. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you guys do over there, and I mean, I'm very much excited to see kind of what happens with the next Road League stuff, because I know we've kind of been bleak. It's been bleak, if you will, on announcements and information thus far. So I'll really be looking forward to seeing what ends up happening there. And I guess given that, we'll probably have to keep an eye out on 509 and the upcoming season's performance. With that in mind, though, to kind of end things out, I always close things out with asking if you want to give any shout outs, any declarations that you'd like to make, any shots you would like to fire. Cap, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks. I guess from my perspective, I would just like to personally thank Lynx, Lan, Gentleman, Red Arm, Harley, Ella, Satan, Red, Top Dog, Ammon, Cryptic, and Easy. That was my leadership group in its core, and they were absolutely incredible for everything that they've done over the seasons. Again, all the members of WoW. I put a fairly articulate letter out. Actually, I think you covered it. I tried to, speak my piece there, but they've been great. On the digs, I mean, I always take digs. I think what I would say is that, Dark, you're still a piece of shit, and congratulations on getting paid to war lead your new EIS. So congratulations there. Even though I like Tomato's a good dude. I feel bad. I wish things could have been different for 30 NA, but the arrogance or the lack of understanding from Wayne and the Lights, unfortunately drew that conclusion. And tough shit, learn from it, and hopefully you guys can be better in the future. However, I am praying to God that you guys show up in our KvK next season, because woof, I'm gonna make it fucking hurt. And that's it. And BN, I appreciate you having me on. I know it went long, but sorry I was a couple minutes late, and appreciate your coverage. And honestly, again, all bullshit aside, I sincerely, I know I do, and many do, we appreciate what you do for the community. I know that you put a lot of time, energy, and effort into this, and just some of the tools you give us that the devs never gave us, when it's data and all the other things you cover for matchmaking as an R5 and things I've done in the past. You create a lot of great tools for us. All the coverage is great. It's always funny, and I always look forward to the video. So thanks for what you do for the community and supporting the game, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, broski. It means a lot. Thank you. And as always, man, I appreciate the time. I will leave you to it, because I'm sure you got to get to bed like I do for my kiddos. I'm shocked that my lady hasn't come down here to unplug my internet. I think it just shows real growth on her part, but just don't tell her I fucking said that.
She said, fuck, you got Cap. Let him cook,
But no, man, she's been great. With that in mind, though, This has been an absolute blast, man. And hopefully we'll be able to do this again and maybe dive a little deeper into some more of these I just thought were fantastic topics. So as always, man, I appreciate the time. Even more so to the viewers. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Like I said, I'll probably cut this up and have the individual interview out, whether it's tomorrow or day after. But yeah, man, this has been a joy for me. And as it always is, anytime I get a chance to talk to people that just have similar beliefs, but also just enjoy the topics that we get to touch on, because I do think that they're very important. And I love being able to share those things with the community. So, man, as always, thank you so much, Cap. I hope you have a great rest of the night, man. And to everyone out there, man, we'll catch you guys in the next one. So I'm totally gonna knock the fuck out though. I'm super tired.
Later. Peace out.
Later, man. So yeah, fam, listen, that was Cap. Man, that was great. Really appreciate him coming on. And, I think we were able to talk about a lot of really important things that, I think mean a lot to not only people that are in similar positions like he is, but at the same time to hopefully at least being able to kind of give the community, I hope, at least a little bit more of an insight on what goes into these positions and why is it exactly that someone like Cap as a king, as an R5, is frustrated. Why is it that other potential R5s may find similar frustrations as well in these areas where we see the player burnout, the management burnout, the R5 burnout really, I don't know if I want to say peaking, but at least becoming a bit more prevalent this season from a few of these situations, and obviously a very clear level of common denominators and similarities between Napoleon and NXW, and then Cap also speaking to his truths within wAo. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I very much did on the conversation. So that is it for me. I hope you guys have a great rest of the morning, the afternoon, the evening, wherever you might be, and whatever time it might be. And as I said, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Pump the